Marvel. Fishing the Heavens. Start with Ghost Swordsman Inheritance. Chapter 61. He rushed over impatiently. What the other party meant, Chinluo naturally knew very well. This Nima made it clear that he wanted to attack the people around him. It's okay for others to say that Meipace's side is really difficult to deal with. So, Chinluo just didn't deal with it and turned the table over. Come directly and avoid future troubles. Have to say that having an AI is really handy. With Jarvis's lock, I don't know how much trouble will be saved for Chinluo. Otherwise, he would have to turn on the wave perception at full power, and then search the whole city. Before Chinluo came to the base, his brows almost twisted into the word, Chuan. This base is a bit abnormal, quiet and scary, accompanied by a strong smell of blood. Playing what? Engage in a sneak attack? Or is there some other conspiracy? Chinluo narrowed his eyes slightly, and the power of waves spread out, and soon he had a clear perception of the scene in the base. However, after realizing it clearly, Chinluo's face became a little ugly. The entire base is full of broken corpses, broken hands and feet can be seen everywhere, and no one can breathe. The dogs were not spared. This scene is enough to be called hell on earth. Who on earth did it? Stealing the head. It's really dark enough to start. That guy Hulk. Impossible. Hulk is not that bloodthirsty, and he is still under the supervision of S.H.I.E.L.D. If he does such a thing, S.H.I.E.L.D. will not be able to keep him. What's more, it is impossible for S.H.I.E.L.D. to just let Hulk behave like this. It's not Hulk, so who could it be? Chinluo muttered. After thinking about it, he decided to go in and see what was going on. He was very curious as to who could have such means. You must know that the little spider only fought for about half an hour. According to the information provided by Jarvis, the two monsters went out from here, plus the fighting time of the little spider. Basically no more than an hour. In such a short period of time, the entire base was directly wiped out. I'm afraid even the Hulk under normal conditions has some difficulties. Don't forget, Hulk is a slow heat type. Walking into the most central building, Chinluo detected the abnormal place with his wave perception. Go all the way down. After destroying several so-called security doors, Chinluo came to a secret research institute. Opening the doors one by one, Chinluo frowned even more when he saw all kinds of large experimental vessels. I have never eaten pork, and I have never seen a pig run. Judging from the contents of these containers, General Ross's behavior is completely committing suicide. It is already beyond the bottom line of human behavior. Once the things here are exposed, no one will be able to protect him. When he came to the innermost office, Chinluo saw General Ross as soon as he opened the door. To be precise, his head. The head was suspended in midair. General Ross's face was full of ferocity and pain. Obviously this guy didn't die easily. It is euphemistic to describe it as death without peace. And on the wall behind General Ross's head, there are several large characters written with minced meat and blood. Mr. Chinluo, congratulations on your victory in the first game. The head of General Ross is your trophy this time. But our game has just started. Before the second game starts, I will give you a notice in advance. Wish us a happy game. Looking at the blood on the snow-white wall, Chinluo couldn't help cursing in a low voice. Where is the lunatic coming from? Marvel's painting style is not like this. Why is it so skewed towards DC? Chinluo's mood became very ugly. Good news, General Ross is belching farts, and I don't hesitate to worry about him making trouble. Bad news, there is another lunatic hiding in the dark, more troublesome than General Ross. Inside New York City, somewhere hidden, a grand banquet is being held at this time. Countless people surrounded the man in the center like stars holding the moon. There is a look of awe and flattery on the face. This man's size is very huge, even compared to Little Hulk, it is almost the same. Only slightly inferior in height. Even a certain well-known center is nothing more than a small fish in front of him. This exaggerated man is the underground emperor of New York, named Jin Bing. This guy Jin Bing is quite powerful. Although the strength is not that exaggerated, it is very difficult to deal with. He is not only the deadly enemy of Daredevil, but also has grudges against Spider-Man, Daredevil, Fantastic Four, the Punisher and even the X-Men. It can be said that the superheroes on the street basically have no enmity with Jin. Even so, he can still live so well, which shows how outstanding Jin Bing's ability is. This guy is thoughtful, his intelligence is far beyond ordinary people. more than 90.00% of his body is muscle, his strength is equally astonishing, and he is also a world-class fighter. Besides, his cane is a pretty insidious weapon. Not only can it emit laser light and smoke, but it can also release high-voltage current at close range, making it difficult for opponents to guard against it. Many superheroes have suffered from this cane. Moreover, his power is so huge that 40.00% of the crimes in New York and even the entire beautiful country come from him. Jin Bing also has a lot of capable people, the most notable of which is the top killer nicknamed Bullseye. His strength can basically be divided with Hawkeye. Both belong to the shooter type of characters. It's just that compared to Hawkeye, this guy is more ruthless and has no bottom line. Kim, enjoying the compliments from those around her while gorging on the expensive meals on the table, looked out of place for the whole party. It seemed like a wild animal was eating. Time to be golden and enjoy what you have right now. A younger brother rushed over with a panicked expression. No matter who it was, he pushed aside the crowd without hesitation. There was chaos at the scene. Finally, he was stopped by a man with a mark like a bullseye on his head. This person is Jin Bin's chief assassin, Lester, nicknamed Bullseye. Bullseye grabbed his younger brother's neck with one hand. "Boy, do you want to die? How dare you be presumptuous here?" When speaking, the corners of Bullseye's mouth slightly raised, showing a weird smile, but the killing intent on his body was extremely strong. The younger brother was strangled by him, his face was flushed with blood, his eyes were full of fear, he opened his mouth to speak, but he couldn't make a sound. Seeing this scene, the flattering people around all had unnatural expressions on their faces, and they retreated one after another, leaving a space. "All right, Bullseye, give him a chance to explain." Jin Bin wiped his mouth slowly, the expression on his face was calm, no sadness or joy could be seen. "Yes, boss Jin Bin." Hearing that Bullseye didn't hesitate at all, he directly threw that little brother on the ground. Ahem, boss Jin Bing, that big head. The weirdo is here again. This time he brought many new faces, there are 15 of them, they look very. It's all scary. The strong suffocation made the little brother cough for a while before he could speak. While speaking, the fear in the little brother's eyes became stronger, even surpassing the fear when Bullseye was about to kill him. Both heads are shaking constantly. Logically speaking, as Jin Bing's core younger brother, what he has seen and heard is definitely far beyond ordinary people. Not so unbearable, but he was frightened like this, which shows how terrifying the visitor is. Jin Bing's neither sad nor happy expression changed after hearing the words. His expression was extremely solemn. Bullseye's face was gloomy, his cheeks were bulging, and his teeth were gritting. Not long ago, a big-headed monster directly broke into Jin Bing's base camp with 2 monsters. The opponent's strength was completely beyond Jin Bing's imagination. Those 2 monsters seemed to be killing machines. Killing is like mowing grass. Hundreds of younger brothers were killed in less than a minute. As a last resort, Jin joined forces with Bullseye to fight against the enemy. The result still didn't help, and the 2 were completely suppressed by each other. The long-range attack that Bullseye is proud of is no different from a joke in the eyes of the opponent. It is even difficult to break the defense. If it wasn't for the other party's mercy. I'm afraid Jin Bin and Bullseye are belching farts by now. Before leaving, the big-headed weirdo left a message. "I will come back again. The purpose of coming this time is just to vote for a certificate. I hope to cooperate with boss Jin Bing." After speaking, he disappeared with 2 monsters. When Jin Bin heard this, his lungs almost exploded. "Killed 100 of my younger brothers, and almost killed me. Is this called a certificate of honor? Who voted for the certificate like this?" But the fact is that they are not their opponents, so they can only recognize them by pinching their noses. After the big-headed monster left, Jin Bing immediately summoned people to find out the other party's identity and power. The result is nothing. Nothing came out. The other party seemed to appear out of thin air, and then disappeared out of thin air. No trace was left at all. In desperation, Jin Bin had to rebuild his base camp. Load up various weapons while increasing the number of guards up to 500. Prepare to leave him behind when the big-headed monster comes next time. However, he never expected that this time the big-headed monster actually brought 15 monsters here. Jin Bing is now completely numb. Originally, 2 monsters were enough, but now a group of them came. I'm afraid these people are not enough for others to play with. Giving up the idea of besieging and killing, Jin decisively evacuated the people around him, and called his younger brother to bring the big-headed monster in. After a while, a group of people in black robes walked in. People in black robes walk in different colors, some are tall and some are short. There are even a few that are not humanoid. Although the hood of the black robe covered his face, he couldn't see anything. But it can be seen from the occasional bare skin on their bodies. These people in black robes probably don't have a particularly close relationship with people. Feel the terrifying aura and pressure on the opponent. Even Jin Bing, the underground emperor, couldn't help but feel his throat dry up and his heartbeat start to speed up. Fuck, where did these monsters come from? Jin Bing roared crazily in his heart, but on the surface he showed a rare gentle smile and said, "Ha ha ha, welcome, Mr. Mystery, I have been waiting so hard for you." These monsters that almost didn't kill Jin Bin. It was none other than Sarier Stern, who had just dealt with General Ross and the test subject of failure handling. Jia 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 Jia. Serial Shi Dang gave a cold and strange smile. Boss Jin Bing is really joking, so I won't say more nonsense. This time I need to recuperate with you for a while, and I need you to help me monitor a few people. Jin Bing waved his hand. No problem, just ask if you need anything, sir. I, Jin, have no other advantages, I just like helping friends. I just don't know who the master wants to monitor. May Parker, Peter Parker, Tony Stark, Dr. Banner, and Chin Luo. Every time Serial Stern said a name, Jin Bing's face turned ugly. The first two names are okay, he has basically never heard of them, but the last three names, he is very familiar with them, and he is very unwilling to provoke them. As Tony Stark is the richest man, needless to say, it is extremely troublesome to monitor. As for the other two, he was even more powerless. As the Underground Emperor, Jin Bing knew no less information than Norman Osborn. Ask for even more. He knew very well that Dr. Banner was the monster who caused a big scene some time ago, and he was the focus of S.H.I.E.L.D. And Chin Luo, Jin Bing had also paid attention to it. After all, Jin Bin didn't think about contacting this extraordinary person who suddenly appeared. Originally, I wanted to observe for a while. As a result, none of the little brothers he sent out survived, and all disappeared without a trace. Such a method naturally made Jin Bing jealous, and he dared not send people there at will. When he saw Jin, he had an uncertain expression. Serial Shi Dang showed a mocking expression on his face. Don't worry, Boss Jin, I won't let you pay for nothing. In the future, if you have someone you want to destroy, these people under my command can let you control a few. Hearing this, Jin Bing's eyes lit up immediately. He has seen the opponent's strength with his own eyes. If it can be used by him, the value created will definitely not be measured by money. And now he happened to have a thorn in his side, a thorn in his flesh that needed to be resolved. That daredevil has been harassing him for a long time. Weighing the pros and cons, thinking twice, Jin Bing gritted his teeth and said, I can help you monitor the first 4 people, but Chin Luo may have some difficulties. Why? Serial Shi Dang frowned slightly, obviously not satisfied with Jin Bing's answer. Sir, I don't know. I tried to observe Chin Luo, but none of the people I sent survived. If there are more people sent out, then. Jin smiled wryly and didn't say much. But Serial Shi Dang understood. If a large number of people are sent to monitor Chin Luo in a short period of time, it is very likely that they will be discovered by the other party. At that time, I'm afraid it will be very troublesome. Serial Shi Dang didn't want to face Chin Luo directly for the time being. So after thinking for a while, he stretched out his hand. Forget about Chin Luo, Boss Jin Bing wishes us a happy cooperation. Ha 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 ha, happy cooperation. Jin Bin laughed and stretched out his hand to shake Serial Shi Dang. Serial Shi Dang once again showed that cold smile, which was in stark contrast to Jin Bing's big, fleshy smile. In the blink of an eye, 5 days have passed since the last incident. During this period of time, except for Chin Luo and Tony looking for the person who left the blood, it's training the little spider. Because of Tony, the school came directly to Boda to reshuffle, and the little spider couldn't go to school for the time being. And May Parker has no time to take care of him. So the little spider stayed at Chin Luo's house for a few more days. These few days the little spider has been quite exciting. During the day, I studied armor and other things with Tony. In the evening, it was a one-on-one fight with Chin Luo. To be precise, it was unilateral tyranny. However, the effect is quite significant. Don't look at only a few days. The little spider can almost be described as reborn. The spider's reaction, beating experience, etc. have all been greatly improved, and the attack method is also sharper. It is no exaggeration to say that if the little spider were to deal with those two monsters now, it would take less than 10 minutes to end the battle without any injuries. Similarly, Tony also started to make spider suits for the little spiders. When the spider suit is released, the little spider's strength will definitely rise to another level. Of course, both Chin Luo and Tony had a tacit understanding and didn't tell him about it. Otherwise, with the character of the little spider, it would definitely annoy Tony to death. Finally, the school sent a notice, and the little spider continued to go to school with a face of reluctance. And the matter about the blood characters here has also made progress. It can only be said that hard work pays off with intelligence. Among thousands of monitors, Jarvis passed a private monitor. A suspicious deformed man with a big head was found, followed by several green monsters in black robes. Just when Tony complained, Chin Luo instantly recognized this man as Serial Stern. Nicknamed Big Boss, a super intelligent criminal. It's just that he didn't expect that there would be his existence in this world. Chin Luo knew very well that Serial Shidang was definitely a troublesome guy. Since he was behind the scenes, the next thing might be complicated. And Chin Luo feels a little too quiet recently. It's even a bit depressing to say that it's quiet. Quite a bit of an undercurrent, a feeling of calm before the storm. So after figuring out the identity of Serial Shidang, Chin Luo made up his mind to take over his aunt and nephew May Parker. It's not certain what will happen to Serial Stern, but the little spider still has the ability to protect itself. But May Parker can't do it. If a careless May Parker is very likely to die. You must know that Spider-Man is sometimes like a lone star of the devil, and the people around him basically have no good end. The death rate is quite high. According to the original plot, May Parker should have died in the revenge of the little green goblin. But now that Chin Luo appeared, under the influence of the butterfly effect, it is not impossible for May Parker to die early. The next day, after the little spider went to school, Chin Luo came to May Parker's door. May Parker happened to be off today and was cleaning the house while watching TV. Woo, dong dong dong. After taking a long breath and relaxing his tense mind, Chin Luo knocked on the door. May Parker opened the door and saw that it was Chin Luo, and said in surprise, "Chin Luo, what's the matter with you? Come in quickly. During this time, Peter is really thanks to your care." During this period of time, May Parker can be said to have had a rare few days of relaxation. Maybe it's because of getting enough rest. His demeanor was no longer that tired as before. His face looked more radiant. Chin Luo's mind couldn't help but fluctuate for a while. He secretly said in his heart, "Sure enough, with Mengda's heart together, it can't be put away anymore. It just so happened that I baked some snacks, come and try my craft, but it's definitely not as delicious as yours." With a smile, May Parker took Chin Luo's hand and led him into the house. Sitting on the sofa, sniffing the unique sweet smell of dim sum in the air, Chin Luo's heart became more stable. Just as May Parker was about to get some snacks, Chin Luo held his fair hand. May Parker was taken aback for a moment, and then a blush appeared on his face. She didn't struggle or anything, she just sat beside Chin Luo and looked at him tenderly. "Do you want to tell me something? It doesn't matter, just say it." In fact, when I first met Chin Luo, May Parker felt that something was wrong. Chin Luo's appearance was different from usual, with a little hesitation and struggle in his eyes. It seems that there is something on his mind, and it is not easy to say it. Women are always delicate in their thoughts, and May Parker is even more outstanding in this regard. It's just that she has a gentle personality, and she never takes the initiative to ask others for their unspeakable secrets. Chin Luo couldn't help but smiled wryly upon hearing this. One didn't expect May Parker's sense to be so keen. "But that's okay, let's be honest," Chin Luo said with a serious face. "Sister May, there are two things. One is about Peter, he becoming different, gaining unusual powers, becoming a superhero. Right?" When May Parker said this, there was a hint of worry on his face. "What the? Real or fake? Do you want to be so accurate? A prophet, quote." Chin Luo was really confused at the time. This Maypace is simply a god. If he is not familiar with the plot, May Parker is an ordinary person. I'm afraid everyone now regards her as a psychic mutant. Sensing Chin Luo's surprise, May Parker smiled. I saw Peter growing up, and I know everything about him very well. Since he came back, he has become different, more confident, and the eyes are more confident. There is also a little more perseverance in it, and... Speaking of this, May Parker paused for a moment, with a helpless expression on his face. He is very dishonest when he sleeps. It is nothing in normal times, but it is different now. Maybe the bed is too small, and he can't use it. So now he's losing a lot of stuff in his room. Ah, Chin Luo sighed lightly, shook his head with a wry smile again, and said, I never expected, Sister May, that you observe so meticulously. As you said, the little spider has become a superhero, and has already left the category of ordinary people. May Parker said straightforwardly, there is another matter, it should be about you, let's talk about it. Okay, let me just say it straight. I'm not an ordinary person. According to what you said, I can barely be considered a superhero. Recently, Peter and I were targeted by a group of criminals. Those people are extremely vicious, and they are very likely to attack you. So I would like to ask you to move to live with me. If you can change jobs, that would be the best. When Chin Luo said these words, the heart always feels a little weak. After all, this matter has a direct relationship with him in the final analysis. The little spider was completely implicated by him, it was purely a lie. Of course, Chin Luo would definitely not say such a thing. Unless his mind is falling apart. The aunt and nephew, Maypace and Peter, depend on each other for life, and they have a deep relationship, not mother and son or better than mother and son. If he told the truth directly, maybe Maypace will agree to live there for the safety of the little spider. But want to get the moon first. Want Wei Wu Ji. Not to mention doors, there are no windows, and the favorability will be directly zero, or even negative. Hey, it seems that I will not have a stable life in the future, but it's quite exciting to think about it. May Parker sighed softly, although his words were a little melancholy, but the smile on his face did not fade away, instead it became a little strange. Looks like she's quite excited. Chin Luo was a little surprised. Logically speaking, even if May Parker is not very excited, he will be sad or sad. He even thought of words of comfort. But now it seems that he was prepared in vain. But that's fine, if Maypace's pear blossoms bring rain, I guess I won't feel too well. Thinking of this, Chin Luo was secretly relieved. Suddenly, May Parker seemed to think of something. She looked at Chin Luo with piercing eyes and asked, Chin Luo, did Peter become a superhero because of your help? Hearing this, Chin Luo quickly waved his hand and said, it's not me. I was also very surprised about his change. After investigation, I found out that the reason why Peter became a superhero was purely because when he participated in Osborne Industries, he was rejected by him. A super spider was bitten, and as a result, the gene mutated, so it gained extraordinary power. Seeing Chin Luo was a little nervous, May Parker patted his hand gently. Chin Luo, don't worry, even you and I won't be angry. In fact, this is a good thing for Peter. You know his character well. His situation in school not too good. Now that he has magical powers, as long as he doesn't do bad things and can be confident and brave, I will be very happy. But, speaking of this, May Parker suddenly changed the subject, and asked with curiosity and excitement on his face, I just don't know, how is his strength? How does it compare with those superheroes in the comics? And yours, what kind of ability do you have? Infinite strength, lightning speed, or flight? I saw May Parker, whose style of painting had obviously changed. Chin Luo's face froze for a moment, and then he said, a little dumbfounded, Sister May, what you said is too simple. Peter's ability mainly comes from that spider. His physical qualities are far superior to ordinary people. But the most amazing thing is his spider sense, which can predict danger and automatically respond to his body, which is very powerful. May Parker covered his mouth, his face was full of surprise and joy, OMG. That kid has become so powerful now, and this spider's ability to sense is really amazing, so Peter won't get hurt. However, the spider sense is a bit unpleasant, so why not call Peter a shock? How about this name? The corner of Chin Luo's mouth twitched. Good guy, isn't this name a bit too much? Peter was shocked. Why did he always have the feeling of getting into the car? But seeing May Parker's expectant eyes, Chin Luo nodded against his will and gave a thumbs up. Not bad. This name is really suitable for Peter's ability. From now on, let's call him Peter Yigeling. Hearing Chin Luo's approval, the smile on May Parker's face was obviously more pervasive. What about you, Chin Luo, what is your ability? Like a curious baby, May Parker looked Chin Luo up and down as if trying to see something. Me, just try it and you'll know. Chin Luo waved his hand with a smile, and in an instant, the dagger appeared out of thin air and transformed into a flying sword. Beautiful Ms. Maypark, I wonder if you would like to travel the sky with me. Chin Luo took the lead in standing on the ancient dagger, and stretched out his hand to May Parker with a smile. OMG, I'm not dreaming, am I? May Parker covered his mouth and let out an exclamation. But after seeing Chin Luo's slender palm, she didn't hesitate, and directly took Chin Luo's hand and stood on the ancient dagger. Hurry up. As soon as Chin Luo finished speaking, the ancient dagger flew out of the window. Wow, May Parker exclaimed again, and immediately hung on Chin Luo's body like an octopus. Feel the touch coming from behind. Chin Luo finally understood why those motorcycle riders always liked to bang forward when they were holding beautiful women. The flying sword lifted off. Looking at the clouds in the sky, Maypace looked very excited. Due to the protection of sword energy, the strong wind and the like did not affect the two of them. There is no such thing as cold. The flying sword is extremely comfortable. I don't know how long it has been flying. The sun has become less dazzling and has begun to tilt slightly downward. Reflect the sky and clouds into gold. The sunset really is infinite. The two sat between the flying swords. May Parker's head rested on Chin Luo's shoulder. Now she no longer has the excitement of the beginning. But there was a little more excitement and shyness in her eyes. It seems to be a tacit understanding. The two turned their heads at the same time, their eyes met, everything was silent. Although the sword body is made of metal, it is not cold at all, but has the feeling of a warm jade bed in martial arts novels. It is very comfortable to lie on and warm. The sky is the quilt, and the sword is the bed. Save words here. Boys are good girls, Wei Wu's legacy is the world. Chin Luo had a smile on his face and hummed a little tune. From now on, the little spider really had to call him uncle. Ding. The relationship between the host and the plot characters has been detected to increase. Get special fishing ×1. Note: special fishing does not count fishing cooldown, it belongs to extra fishing, fishing items, quality is random. Note 2. Special fishing results can be given to people other than the host. The sudden prompt from the system startled Chin Luo. But in an instant, Chin Luo's eyes became brighter than a light bulb. I didn't expect that after the relationship rose, there would be such a reward. Chin Luo originally wanted to do something special in the Marvel world, so that May Parker had the strength to protect himself. But after much deliberation, it is nothing more than two choices of technology and hard work. Technology can only find Tony, but he has been troubled too much during this time. Even with Chin Luo's thick skin, he felt a little embarrassed. However, the uncertainty of hard work is still too high, and there is nothing reliable at all. Now there is nothing to worry about. I just hope that I can extract some awesome items. Don't come to anything from the world of low martial arts. For example, Wei Xiaobao's musket. Chin Luo felt his blood pressure rise even thinking about it now. Start special fishing. With a thought, the familiar fishing rod appeared in front of him. The screen of special fishing is different from normal fishing. Normal fishing is fishing in the void. It feels a bit like playing an AI game. But now, Chin Luo felt as if a lake made of milk appeared in front of him out of thin air. The milky white halo softly illuminates everything around. The fishhook slowly wandered in the lake. It looks very quiet and peaceful. It seems to be the legendary Holy Lake. Chin Luo looked at the scene in front of him. My heart couldn't help but move. The special reward this time must be related to the DNF Paladin profession. If that's the case, before Chin Luo thought about it, ripples appeared on the lake. Immediately afterwards, a white treasure box emitting soft light floated in front of Chin Luo. The treasure chest opens automatically. You can see a pink fruit and 2 books stored in the treasure chest. See these few things. While Chin Luo was surprised, he was secretly a little disappointed. It's not something of the paladin class. The hope of having a nanny by my side was dashed. But the reward this time is pretty good. At least it's not rubbish. It is basically certain from the strange texture on the fruit. This is the devil fruit of One Piece world. It's just a devil fruit with unknown properties. Chin Luo has never seen it. If it's natural, then it's fine. There is no domineering existence in this world. Ordinary people want to break the natural system, there is really no way. Unless there is a rubber man with the aura of the protagonist. Of course, the natural department is not so invincible. After all, with the regular level power of 6 infinite gems, that level of power is bound to cause a devastating blow to elementalization. The animal type is the least ideal for Qin Luo. Although the phantom beast is very strong, the animal type fruit is likely to change the user's appearance to a certain extent. It's hard to imagine what Maypace would be like if he ate some not-so-good fauna. There is nothing to say about the Superman series. The ones that are powerful are really powerful, and the ones that are spicy are really spicy. Rubbing his hands together, Qin Luo tapped directly on the treasure chest. The treasure chest disappeared instantly, and the devil fruit and 2 books were suspended in midair. Ding! Congratulations to the host for getting the big treasure chest of Pirate World. Items obtained. Slippery Fruit Flawless Navy 6 Styles Proficient Level 3 Color Domineering Proficient Level. Note: the abilities obtained in One Piece World this time are divided into Entry, Proficiency, Proficiency, Master, and Perfection. Slippery Fruit Flawless from the world of pirates, it is a superhuman devil fruit. After eating it, it becomes smooth and tender. The skin surface is smooth, and everything that touches the skin will slide away. Note: flawless grade devil fruit, absolutely no side effects, can be eaten with peace of mind. Qin Luo saw this devil fruit. Eyes light up slightly. Although it is said that the smooth fruit is not as powerful as the natural system, but the ability of this fruit is quite powerful. No matter what kind of attack can slide away. From a certain point of view, it can be regarded as absolute defense. More importantly, the beauty effect of this fruit can be called against the sky. Most people who have watched Pirates know how shivering the little boss Aurita that Luffy met when he went out to sea for the first time. The figure is comparable to a tank. Her face was covered with freckles, but after eating the slippery fruit, she immediately became a top beauty. Compared with the Empress, she is only slightly inferior in charm. Speaking of which, although the Empress is very beautiful, her astonishing charm mainly comes from the addition of sweet fruits. And May Parker herself is very beautiful, but the hard work of these years has made her skin a little rough. At best, it can be regarded as a slight flaw. God knows, what will May Parker look like after eating the slippery fruit. Similarly, Qin Luo still has a little selfishness in his heart, slippery fruit, happy. Resisting the excitement in his heart, Qin Luo clicked on the introductions of the 2 skill books one by one. 3 Color Domineering, Elite Level, Special Power from the World of Pirates. Armed Color Domineering can improve its own defense and attack power. Knowledge Colored Domineering can sharpen the 5 senses, and can detect the breath and emotional changes of the surrounding creatures. Overlord Color and Domineering, the aptitude of the king, releasing the coercion that belongs to the king. Navy 6 Forms Elite Level, from the taijutsu created by the One Piece World Navy, it is divided into 6 forms. After mastering all of them, the 6 forms are combined into one, and you can use the ultimate secret 6 King Spear. Shaved one of the 6 Navy styles, stepping on the ground dozens of times at high speed in an instant to generate explosive reaction force to move at high speed, and move extremely fast within a certain distance. Iron Block one of the 6 Navy styles, a special defense technique, to build strength into a well-trained body so that it has the hardness of iron. Even bullets and swords can't break through. The fly in the ointment is that you can't move freely when using iron blocks, but can be supplemented by training. Paper Painting one of the 6 Navy styles, defensive skills, unloading the whole body strength. Through the airflow changes generated by the opponent's movements, the body can become as thin and light as paper, and the body can be easily controlled, and the attack directed towards oneself can be easily controlled, can dodge in a matter of seconds. Moon Step one of the 6 Navy styles, the skill of moving in the air, stepping on the air with a strong foot force, resulting in a strong air force, can walk in the air like stepping on stairs, and can move at high speed in the air. Land Foot one of the 6 Navy styles, foot attack, through super fast and powerful kicks, roll up the vacuum to generate slashing attacks on the opponent, and can easily split the target in half. Finger Gun one of the 6 naval moves, flick attack, gather the strength of the whole body on the index finger, and release a blow with the hardened finger. The energy released by the fingertip can easily penetrate the human body. 6 King's Spear 6 styles combined into one, a huge shock wave is generated when activated. The shock wave will penetrate the human body and directly cause huge damage to the internal organs. Qin Luo looked at the complete introduction and couldn't help feeling secretly. Not to mention the bonus of fruit ability. The proficient 3-color domineering plus Navy 6 style alone is enough to create the existence of a Vice Admiral's combat power. In the Marvel world, I dare not say how strong it is, at least not too weak. It may not be a problem to suppress Hulk in a short period of time. As long as you are not blindly confident, you can use iron blocks to resist the attack. Speaking of these two forces, it is not as simple as it seems now. Whether it is the 3-color domineering or the 6-style navy, they all have advanced abilities. In particular, the advanced ability of the 3-color domineering is stronger. The power of the Overlord color winding and the flowing cherry-colored armed color is absolutely amazing. And don't forget to be domineering and knowledgeable. To a certain extent, there is even a chance to have the terrifying ability to predict the future. Sister May, wake up, wake up. Qin Luo gently patted May Parker's pretty face and called out. Don't be annoying, I was just so tired, let me sleep for a while. May Parker muttered in a daze, apparently he was really exhausted just now. After all, physical fitness is there. May Parker is just an ordinary person, but after Qin Luo has been strengthened many times, his physical strength alone has surpassed the Hulk. Hey, eat this first. Qin Luo said and put the slippery fruit on May Parker's mouth. Maypace instinctively opened his mouth and took a bite of the slippery fruit, and then, the whole person became energetic in an instant. Yuck, turning around, May Parker just wanted to spit out but Qin Luo covered his mouth. Hey, swallow it, don't spit out the first mouthful. Out of trust in Qin Luo, May Parker frowned tightly, suppressing nausea, and swallowed the fruit in his mouth. Qin Luo thought to himself, it seems that the unpalatable devil fruit is not a side effect, but really unpalatable. The moment the fruit was eaten, Maypace felt a shock all over his body. Some kind of unbelievable power spread in the body, and there were bursts of numbness. May Parker had no choice but to let out a coquettish, huh. Qin Luo next to him stared wide-eyed, watching May Parker's astonishing changes. I just feel a little itchy nose. If it hadn't been forcibly suppressed by the power of blood, the nosebleed would have sprayed out several meters away. This Nima is too top. Qin Luo finally knows what beauty is like jade. What does it mean to have a skin like creamy fat and a face like Odin? In Tony's mansion, the little spider was looking around in Tony's studio, trembling with excitement. Just after school, the little spider received a text message from Qin Luo. Let him go directly to Tony and tell Tony that there is a mysterious gift for him. After hearing the news, the little spider immediately became dizzy with excitement. He didn't even think about what Qin Luo and his Aunt May were doing at this time. Just kidding, such a beautiful day. How could Qin Luo let the little spider come to disrupt the situation? So I can only sell Tony a little bit. Kid, don't move around, be careful not to hurt you. While working on the virtual model, Tony ate the spicy strips that he brought in from Qin Luo and said quite dissatisfied. Sorry, Mr. Stark, I'm so excited, I never thought that one day I will visit your studio and receive your mysterious gift. You know what, after you declared yourself Iron Man, you are now everyone's idol in our school, OMG you know, our school. The veins on Tony's forehead popped up, and he yelled, shut up. The little spider trembled all over, pursed his lips, and looked at Tony pitifully. Quite a bit like a kitten abandoned by its owner. Tony clutched his brow that was throbbing with pain, and scolded Qin Luo 100 times in his heart, the kind with a very high amount of motherhood. At the same time, I also secretly hated those media, why are they doing so much publicity? This is great, the whole world knows that he is Iron Man. That's right, just a day ago, Tony was suspected of being Iron Man due to his many, heroic, actions. So Tony held the same press conference as the original plot and admitted that he is Iron Man. It caused an uproar for a while. Affected by this, the stock of Stark Industries also soared directly from the state of guarantee. Qin Luo was also there at the time, and he would naturally not miss such a famous scene. Tony looked at the pitiful look of the little spider. In the end, I couldn't bear it anymore. Sucking the spicy oil on his fingers, Tony complained unhappily. The biggest mistake I've ever made in my life is believing that dead bald head, and the second mistake is preparing a gift for you little brat. Quote. The third thing is to believe that fool Qin Luo can keep a secret. When he said the last sentence, Tony almost broke his teeth. Woo. Tony let out a long breath, looked at the little spider and said, "From now on, unless I ask you, you are not allowed to say a word, do you hear me?" In this regard, the little spider naturally nodded frantically, covering his mouth with both hands. But those bright eyes, like small searchlights, never leave Tony. Helplessly shook his head. Tony tapped the left side lightly, and suddenly a special suitcase popped out. Opening the box, it was a set of the most classic red and blue spider battle suit. The first generation spider suit was completely made according to that guy Chen Luo's design. I really don't know what that guy's vision is. If you want me to say how cool the gold and red are, I have to design it in red and blue. It's so ugly. Tony kept complaining, and the little spider's eyeballs were all straight, staring at the battle clothes in his eyes. As for what Tony said, he didn't listen to it at all. Seeing each other like this, Tony lost all interest in making complaints. He closed the box again and handed it to the little spider. "I've recorded the instructions for using this suit. You can study it yourself after you go back." The little spider took the suitcase, excitedly hugged the suitcase in his arms, and kissed it twice. Creak. The ear-piercing sound came from the metal box, and the little spider froze immediately, stroking the deformed part of the metal box with a full face. The corner of Tony's mouth couldn't help twitching when he saw this. I couldn't help but secretly stunned. This kid is really a monster. This metal box is made of the same material as the Mark armor. As a result, he was directly deformed by this kid. Looking at his weak arm, Tony became more active in his heart about hard work. Shaking his head, he threw out the messy thoughts. Tony took out a pair of special wristbands and put them on top of the metal box. This is a special tool called a spider web launcher, and it was also the idea of that guy Chen Luo. You just need to fill the place with spider fluid. Then press the sensor in the palm, and the spider silk can be ejected. These spider silks are very tough and can bear great weight. Speaking of which, Tony lightly tapped the sensor on the wristband. Call out. Accompanied by a slight cracking sound, white spider threads flew out and stuck to the wall of the studio. At present, these spider silks have 3 special modes: lightning spider silk, super speed spider silk, and frozen spider silk. Tony spoke and demonstrated again. The spider silk with blue electric current, the spider silk whose emission speed is almost imperceptible to the naked eye, and the spider silk that is radiantly cold. 3 different patterns of spider silk are almost ready to play in Tony's hands. Poor little spider, looking at such cool equipment, but can't speak, his face turned purple. Tony put away the web shooter. See what the little spider looks like. Ah, he sighed helplessly again. Okay, you can talk now, but you are only allowed to say 3 sentences, and then pack up and get out. OMG, Mr. Stark, you and Brother Chin are both geniuses. This is really cool. The little spider shouted excitedly and almost jumped up. I agree with your first point of view. It is well known that I am a genius, but it is not certain whether Chen Luo is a genius, but this guy's aesthetics are really bad. Okay, your first sentence said it's over. Speaking of which, Tony raised an index finger to the little spider. The little spider's face froze suddenly. He resisted the urge to talk nonsense, after thinking for a while. Looking at Tony expectantly, he said, "Mr. Stark, can I come to your studio often to visit and study?" Okay, the right to the last sentence is cancelled. Take your gift and leave. I will let Happy give it to you. You want to be a superhero or whatever you want. Of course, you can also be a super criminal if you want to, as long as you can beat me and Chen Luo. Hearing this, little spider's expression changed slightly, and just as he was about to speak to make a promise, he saw Tony's chasing eyes. In the end, he chose not to talk nonsense, and walked straight out of the studio. Just as he was about to go out, Tony's voice suddenly sounded behind him. That's right. Chen Luo just finished sending me a message. He was discussing something with Ms. May. They won't be back tonight. You can arrange dinner yourself. You can stay wherever you want. The simple little spider didn't understand the meaning of the words, nodded, and walked out the door with his equipment in his arms. Looking at the back of the little spider, Tony's eyes were quite meaningful, and the corners of his mouth were slightly raised, revealing a smirk. Young man, you are still too young. That guy Chen Luo is quick enough to strike. Sit in Happy's car, all the way back to Queens. Peter is still immersed in the joy of the spider suit. He wanted to chat with Happy. But the witty Happy put down the sound insulation panel as early as when he got in the car. Completely cut off the magic attack of the little spider. After returning home, the little spider rushed into the room and couldn't wait to put on the spider suit and bring the spider web launcher to start research and experiments. Maybe it's because of his extraordinary talent, the little spider's grasp of spider silk is simply outrageously fast. In less than 10 minutes, the little spider started to use the spider silk to play skipping rope in the room. Later, I felt that it was not enough, so I went to the roof to play bungee jumping, air trampoline. In short, there were a lot of tricks, and I had a lot of fun. Play and play. The little spider stopped suddenly, and he looked at his reflection on the glass. The 4 words, superhero, that Tony said before he left came back to his mind. Superhero, can I really do it? The little spider muttered. The scene of the battle with Little Hulk and the Little Abomination came before his eyes, as well as Chin Luo's guidance. At this moment, he felt that he could do it. Good Neighbor Spider-Man, officially launched. With excitement, the little spider mask was put on, and the standard Spider-Man travel method began to swing among the tall buildings. It's just that I wasn't used to it at first, so I didn't fall off the building. But relying on the proficiency of spider silk, the little spider got used to it very quickly. Start to shuttle around the city, looking for your goal tonight. The messiest neighborhood in New York, Hell's Kitchen. This is a criminal's paradise. The evil that happens every night. It is enough to catch up with the monthly volume of other districts. And in a corner of Hell's Kitchen, standard criminal behavior was being played out at this time. 2 gangsters held pistols and blocked a hapless guy in a dark alley. Hand over all the valuables on your body, otherwise, my gun will not have eyes, and if it goes off, it will be bad for you to go to hell. The leader of the gangster looked fiercely and threatened, and the pistol kept swinging up and down, so scared that the unlucky guy almost peed on his pants. However, the experience of this unlucky guy seems to be quite rich. This guy fell to his knees directly, with his hands raised above his head, looking like he was at his mercy. Think about it too. Who can survive in Hell's Kitchen, which month will not be robbed 3 or 4 times? It's strange to be unskilled. Another gangster saw this and said impatiently, "Fool, you still want me to touch it myself? Believe it or not, I will kill you now." The unlucky guy didn't talk nonsense when he heard the words, and took out his wallet, mobile phone and other items from his pocket tremblingly. Boom! Suddenly there was a muffled sound in the gangster's ear, and then he felt a sharp pain in his wrist, as if it was broken. Naturally, the pistol could not be held, it flew out and disappeared into the darkness. Fool, who is it? Do you want to die? The other gangster's face changed drastically. He covered his pistol with both hands, and patrolled around, his eyes were full of murderous intent. However, he soon locked on the person who attacked them. It's just that after seeing the appearance of the person again, the gangster's face became extremely ugly, and he almost squeezed out a few words from between his teeth. Night. Daredevil. Under the dim streetlights, a man in a red tights and a red mask stood there, holding a short stick in his hand. Shoot him. Don't let him get close. The gangster who had his pistol knocked out shouted angrily at his companion. The name of Daredevil in Hell's Kitchen is well known in the ears of this group of gangsters. They all know that Daredevil's melee ability is quite powerful. If he is allowed to get close, they will basically be sent in. Hearing the shouts of his companions, the gangster with a gun immediately fired and let out all the bullets. Bang bang bang. Die Daredevil, the gangster yelled while shooting, as if to cheer himself up. Caca. There was the sound of a pistol being emptied. Wake up the gangster from his nervous mood, and look in the direction where he shot. Except for a few bullet holes, where is the figure of Daredevil? Boom. With the familiar muffled sound and severe pain, Daredevil unexpectedly appeared in front of him at some point, swinging his stick and knocking his pistol away. At the same time, he swung the short stick in his hand again, knocking the gangster unconscious with just a few strokes. And the gangster who was knocked out of the pistol at the beginning didn't dare to stay longer when he saw this scene. He turned around and ran away without saying a word. At that speed, I only hate my parents for giving me 2 legs. A fishy smell could be faintly smelled in the alley. It seems that the gangster who ran away left some not-so-good gifts behind. Jin Bin, you actually sent so many young people to hinder me, are you trying to exhaust me to death? Daredevil murmured, his words were full of resentment and a trace of helplessness. This is the difference between a superhero and a supervillain. Why do superheroes always suffer? The reason is very simple. The opponent can do things without limit, but the superhero with justice in his heart cannot ignore them. It can be said that Hell's Kitchen has been quite noisy recently. For example, what happened just now is already the fourth incident tonight. Jin Bing's men started to commit crimes everywhere as if they were crazy. And Daredevil can only keep running around to deal with these criminals. It made him exhausted physically and mentally, and he couldn't take care of other things at all. Daredevil, formerly known as Matt Murdock, is a very standard street hero. Whenever night falls, he will be dispatched to fight criminals. Daredevil's true identity is a blind lawyer in a law firm. It can be said that he is a person with a great sense of justice. He learned from a mysterious old man named Gunsu, and he uses a pair of short sticks superbly, like a dragon and snake. Because of his chivalry and righteousness, Daredevil will inevitably meet with the underground Emperor Jin, so the bond between the two is getting deeper and deeper. King didn't know how much money he lost because of Daredevil. In fact, money is still secondary. As the underground emperor, money is nothing more than a string of numbers to him. The most important thing is face, so many younger brothers are watching if Jin doesn't solve Daredevil. It was definitely a major blow to his prestige. However, Jin Bin had nothing to do with Daredevil, and sent the chief assassin Bullseye to attack Daredevil, but he almost didn't come back. Jin was very annoyed. It's not peaceful recently, so let's go home early at night. If you can move out of here, it's best to move out as soon as possible. Daredevil lifted the hapless guy who was still kneeling on the ground and said, Thanks, Mr. Daredevil, thank you, you saved me. I don't know, can I take a photo with you and keep it as commemorate? The unlucky man stuttered and put his hands in his arms. Sorry, I'm still busy, just take a group photo. Just as Daredevil was about to refuse, he suddenly felt the hairs all over his body stand on end, and there was an icy chill on his neck. That is the breath of death. Startled, Daredevil didn't have time to think about it, so he turned around and dodged aside. Stab. There was a harsh sound, and the clothes under his ribs were cut by some kind of sharp object, leaving a not-so-deep gash. Although Daredevil dodged very quickly, he was still half a step too slow. It can be seen that the opponent's shot is fast. Dwang. The sound of gold and iron clanging sounded, and a samurai sword cut off the iron pipe behind where Daredevil was standing just now. Who are you? Daredevil yelled and asked. His forehead was covered with cold sweat, he was really close to having his head chopped off just now. Without eyes, Daredevil's 5 senses are extremely powerful. Sensing the surroundings as much as possible, but soon his heart sank. The breath of that person in the perception is very weak, it is like a small snowflake in a cold winter night, inconspicuous at all. But when he felt it carefully, he found that the terrifying power contained in this snowflake was absolutely beyond what a human being could radiate. I didn't expect you to be more powerful than I thought, but that's all for now. Next, I will let you enjoy the fun of death. The unlucky guy held a samurai sword in his hand, and gently wiped his face with his left hand, revealing his dark green skin. Number 4 agreed, 1 chance per person. It should be me next. A muffled voice came from the dark alley. There is a little dissatisfaction in the words. HMPH. This mission is mine. Number 4 was the green dwarf with the knife, and a look of anger appeared on his face when he heard this. Daredevil felt his scalp tingling right now. He didn't even feel the owner of the voice just now. For him, not being able to perceive the enemy is really terrifying. Daredevil is not a fool, he can see that what happened tonight is a trap. A trap against him. As for the mastermind behind the scenes, he didn't need to guess, it must be Jin Bin. It's just that he couldn't figure out where Jin Bin got such 2 monsters. Even if Daredevil wanted to break his head, he probably wouldn't have thought of it. The 2 monsters that attacked him were minions of another supervillain. Celia stuns Hulk Soldier. The dwarf holding the katana as the number 4 test subject, and he is also the one who killed General Ross and the entire base. And the monster talking to it is number 3 test product, also a Hulk Soldier, 1 level higher than number 4, and its strength is naturally stronger. Jin also cooperated with Serial Stang, and the first condition he proposed was to kill Daredevil. Naturally, Serial Shi Dang would not refuse, and directly dispatched number 4 to prepare for a strong kill. However, Jin was not afraid that Daredevil would run away, so he strongly urged Serial Stun to send another person. In desperation, Serial Stang sent number 3 to assist number 4 in besieging Daredevil. In order to be more on the safe side, Jin Bin specially arranged such a big show. Although these two Hulk soldiers are not very happy with Jin Bing's finger pointing. But under the order of Serial Stern, they still cooperated with all their strength. That's why there was the scene just now. Number 3. Number 4, don't blame others if you don't seize the opportunity yourself, just retreat obediently. Number 4. Fool, you are not allowed to order me. Sooner or later I will take your place. No. 3. Hee, then I'll wait and see. But first complete the task, otherwise the master will blame us, we can't bear it. Come on. As soon as number 3 finished speaking, he rushed towards Daredevil. Rushing out of the darkness, I saw that number 3's appearance was very ordinary, if it wasn't for the prominent green skin. I'm afraid I can't find him if I throw it among the crowd. I said so. Don't order me. Number 4 roared, holding a samurai sword and turning into a green afterimage, surpassing number 3 in the blink of an eye. Daredevil sensed someone approaching quickly, and smashed the short stick in his hand in the direction of coming. The castration was fast and ruthless, with a terrifying whistling sound. Dwang. When the short stick collided with the samurai sword, there was a sound of metal and iron clanging, and sparks burst out at the same time, which was extremely dazzling in the night. At this time, Daredevil felt another strong wind coming, but he couldn't perceive the person who shot it. In desperation, he had no choice but to use an iron bridge to dodge the direction of the strong wind, and at the same time, he swung out another short stick and smashed it directly above him. Facing the whistling short stick, number 3 did not dodge or dodge, and let the short stick fall on him with a calm expression. Boom! There was an unusual impact sound, and Daredevil's expression changed immediately. I secretly thought it was bad. Daredevil is very aware of how powerful he is. If ordinary people get hit by him head-on, even if they don't die, they will directly lose their combat effectiveness and cannot continue to fight. But when it landed on the opponent, he only felt as if he had been hit on a thick steel plate. Instead of shaking the opponent, his arm was numb from the shock, and the tiger's mouth was split open, with traces of blood oozing out. Number 3 doesn't care what Daredevil feels right now. He punched him in the head. Except for the green dot's fist, which was almost the same as that of an ordinary person, there was a whistling sound at this time. It was as if a heavy hammer fell from the sky. Daredevil's reaction was quite fast, and when he felt that his attack had failed, he turned over and dodged immediately. At the same time, a lazy donkey rolled to distance itself. Don't look at the lazy donkey rolling skill, which doesn't look very good, and even looks very embarrassed. But the effect was quite good. His roll didn't just avoid number 3's punch. Also avoid number 4's fatal slash. Fact, what a cunning bug. Seeing that his slash failed again, number 4's face turned greener, and his heart was filled with shame. He rushed forward suddenly, and finally swung the katana in his hand a little more quickly. Under the moonlight, the blade was almost invisible. Number 3 didn't speak, but the green face became a little more ferocious, and his fists were clenched. Obviously also burning with anger in his heart. After Daredevil stood firm, his face was more solemn than ever. He gritted his molars, clenched his short stick tightly, advanced instead of retreating, and charged towards number 3 and no. 4. In fact, Daredevil knew very well that he was more than a step behind the opponent in terms of strength and speed. So if you run away now and expose your back to the enemy, then he can basically sit down. There is no doubt that if you run away, you will die, and if you fight hard, you may be able to fight for a chance. Gia, Daredevil, you are courting death. When number 3 saw that the other party wanted to fight back, a cold smile appeared on his face. With a horizontal slash of the samurai sword in his hand, he slashed towards Daredevil with lightning speed. At the same time, number 3, who was a little slower, hit Daredevil's head with a high whip kick from the side. Although number 3 and number 4 don't seem to get along well, their cooperation when attacking is quite tacit. Under the joint attack, Daredevil's retreat was almost blocked. And as long as their attack falls on Daredevil. But Daredevil is a street hero anyway, maybe his strength and speed are not as good as the opponent, but in terms of skills, with Gunsu's personal teaching, the stick method is definitely top-notch. I saw Daredevil's left hand stick upwards and twisted, and it happened to get stuck on number 3's high whip leg. At the same time, while skillfully shaking out the stick flower with his right hand, he was unexpectedly deflected by number 4's slash. And the direction of the offset is exactly number 3's thigh. Stab. The blade sliced across the thigh, and the imagined scene of flying flesh and blood did not appear, but sparks arose instead. Daredevil was almost not stupid at the time, he couldn't see it, but he could feel it. What kind of human is the other party? Normal human beings will explode with a knife. Boom. Before Daredevil could react, number 3 punched him hard, hitting him in the chest and sending him flying instantly. Boom. Puff. Daredevil slammed into the wall heavily, and just about to get up, he felt a tightness in his chest and a sweetness in his throat, and then he spurted out a mouthful of blood. Number 3 and number 4 attacked and killed again, without giving Daredevil any time to breathe. Call out, call out. However, when the two were less than 3 meters away from Daredevil, 2 sounds of breaking through the air sounded. Number 4 reacted very quickly and dodged to the side suddenly, while number 3 did not dodge or dodge, but looked in the direction of the sound of breaking through the air. They saw 3 or 4 crystal clear spider threads intercepting in front of them, and one of them stuck to number 3's body. ZZ. Blue lightning flashed on the spider silk. In an instant, number 3's face changed slightly, and he grabbed the spider silk and pulled it hard. As a result, the tenacity of the spider silk was beyond his imagination. It didn't break. Number 3 stepped up again. Boom. There was a sound like a tight rubber band breaking, and the spider silk broke in response, and fell limply to the ground. Hey, how are you? I'm your good neighbor Spider. Spider-Man. The little spider was hanging upside down in the air, perhaps because he was too excited, his voice became a little trembling. The 3 looked at the sudden appearance of the little spider with different expressions. Especially Daredevil, when he heard Peter's words, his expression became a little weird. How to describe it? Perhaps the word embarrassment is the most appropriate word for Daredevil's mood at this time. Hey, so now can I ask, who is the good guy and who is the villain? Wait, OMG. Just as the little spider was about to chatter, he saw the figure of Daredevil and let out an exclamation. You are Daredevil, oh my god. Superhero Daredevil, I didn't expect to see you here, can you sign me for a while? It would be best if you can take a photo together. By the way, I am also a superhero, my name is Spider-Man. The little spider was a little incoherent with excitement, and at the same time rummaged through his body. It seems to be looking for something to take a photo with or sign. Ahem, friend, thank you for your help, but you should leave quickly, these 2 monsters are not easy to deal with, you are not their opponent. Daredevil coughed up 2 more mouthfuls of bloody foam before standing up reluctantly, clutching his chest. Gia, I can't take care of myself anymore, and I still have the mind to take care of other people's lives. Do you think he can go? Number 4 smiled coldly, but the murderous intent in his eyes became even stronger. Accidents happened one after another, which made him feel so bad. Stop talking nonsense. On the 4th, you go and kill the little bug with a broken mouth. Leave the task objective to me. As soon as number 3 landed, he quickly rushed towards Daredevil. I said, don't order me. Number 4 roared, expressing his dissatisfaction. But the action is very obedient. He jumped up and swung his knife towards the little spider's head. The speed is as fast as a ghost, and there is a cold light shining on the blade. Wow, I'm afraid you have some special attributes, don't you? Why don't you say what you say? As the little spider spoke, it cut off the spider silk and dodged to avoid number 4's attack. Seeing this, Daredevil raised his stick to help the little spider, but before he could move too much, he felt a strong wind blowing towards his temple. Facing such an attack, Daredevil didn't dare to resist, so he had no choice but to dodge. Number 3 stopped in front of the alley, completely blocking the possibility of Daredevil wanting to help. Number 4's eyes are serious. Unexpectedly, the little spider was able to dodge his own knife. But it's not over yet. While turning the blade in number 4's hand, he slashed at the little spider's neck again at an unbelievable angle. As if he had seen the little spider being beheaded with a knife, a cruel smile appeared on the corner of number 4's mouth. Snapped. An extremely inappropriate and weird voice sounded, and number 4's eyes instantly widened. It never occurred to me that instead of taking the lead with a sword, I was caught empty-handed by the opponent. That's right, it is empty-handed and white-handed. The bug skill of a certain boss surnamed Lee. I saw the little spider half kneeling on the ground, clasping his palms tightly to hold the blade, his posture was extremely funny. At this time, number 4 only felt that his energy and blood were constantly surging, and his sense of shame was unprecedentedly strong. He tried his best to regain the samurai sword with his arm, but found that the samurai sword seemed to be welded to death in the opponent's palm, and he couldn't pull it out at all. The little spider's reaction was extremely fast. Just when number 4's old force was gone and the new force was not born, his arm twisted violently. He took the samurai sword abruptly. Not far away, number 3, who was abusing Daredevil, saw this, and his expression changed suddenly. His expression became serious. This sudden change was much more severe than he had imagined. Even he can't guarantee that he can take the knife away from number 4's hands. Even though number 4 has the problem of underestimating the enemy, the strength of the opponent must not be underestimated. Number 4, come here and change people. You are here to deal with Daredevil. Don't be self-willed again, otherwise, the master will blame you, and you and I will not be able to explain it. Number 3 said in a deep voice, and immediately ignored Daredevil behind him, and rushed towards the little spider. Feel the opponent's powerful momentum. The little spider trembled in his heart, and quickly did a few backflips to distance himself. Simultaneously insert the katana into the ground. Shish! Several consecutive strands of frozen spider silk shot out, completely sealing the samurai sword in the ground. It looks like an ice flower suddenly grew on the ground, which is quite beautiful. Number 3 ignored the others, and locked his eyes on the little spider. The muscles all over his body tensed up, and his entire body seemed to swell. And number 4 didn't talk nonsense this time. The little spider brought him a lot of pressure. He knew very well in his heart what kind of horror he would face if this mission failed. The best solution now is to let number 3 temporarily block that Spider-Man. And he quickly dealt with Daredevil, and finished the task first. Then slowly play with that Spider-Man. I don't know why there are so many heroes, they are all full. Number 4 muttered, pulled out the spare short knife on his waist, and slashed towards Daredevil, with a terrific move, faster and faster, leaving no room for it. But Daredevil is not just for nothing, and what he is best at is this kind of close combat that is short and dangerous. Playing fast and fast, number 4 was unable to take down Daredevil for a while. Speaking of Daredevil's strength is also quite good. The embarrassment just now was purely due to the siege of the two, making it difficult to parry. And number 3 is quite restrained from Daredevil in a sense. Unless number 3 takes the initiative to attack, Daredevil will not be able to detect the opponent at all. This made him feel very strenuous. But it's different now, there is only number 4 alone. He also lost the samurai sword, and his combat effectiveness has dropped a lot compared to just now. Daredevil is naturally able to withstand it. Fighting fast, the shadows of swords and sticks kept interlacing, and the two of them fell into a stalemate for a while. As for Little Spider, it was much easier than Daredevil. The power of the Little Spider is almost equal to that of No. 3. But in terms of agility, it was more than a star and a half short. Relying on its own agility, the help of spider silk, and the bonus of spider induction. When Little Spider faced number 3, he was already invincible. So it's completely the Little Spider pressing number 3 to fight. It's just that the body structure of number 3 is very strange. This guy's body seems to be cast from fine steel. Little Spider's fist basically had no effect on him. Number 3 didn't even blink his eyelids for more than a dozen laps in a row, but the shock made the Little Spider's wrist ache. OMG, are you a stone man? Why are you so hard? You can't move. Boom. The Little Spider muttered and tried to throw a punch again, hitting the opponent's temple, but the muffled sound was still heard, and the wrist felt an uncomfortable numbness again. Have you played enough? Number 3 let out a roar, and punched out with gusts of wind. But in the face of such a simple and direct fist, the Little Spider who has undergone Chin Luo's special training is completely worthy, and he dodges easily in a few dodges. By the way, distanced. Spider-Man, right, I advise you not to meddle in other people's business, otherwise, you will really anger us, and you will not be able to bear the consequences. Your family. It will also be because you know what horror is. Number 3 threatened in a cold voice, but he was secretly anxious. He could tell that the Little Spider was a fledgling superhero, so he decisively chose to attack the heart. As long as the other party can have scruples about his family, then everything will be fine. As everyone knows, number 3 is destined to think too much. When I heard this, the Little Spider almost didn't laugh out loud. The figures of Chin Luo and Tony appeared involuntarily in his mind. As for Aunt May, the little spider believes that as long as she stays with Qin Luo, there will be no danger. On the contrary, the person opposite may be very dangerous. Are you sure you want to threaten my family? You may die. The little spider looked at number 3 very sincerely and said. It's just that number 3 didn't understand little spider's kindness, but thought that the other party was threatening him. Immediately he laughed back in anger. Boy, don't think that having a little supernatural power will make your tail go up to the sky. My master's power is beyond your imagination, and there are several older brothers on top of me, it's easy to kill you. Quote. Call out, call out. Seeing this, the little spider didn't bother to explain, and directly activated the spider web launcher, and 3 completely different spider silks were shot out. Since pure physical attacks with fists and feet are ineffective, the only option is to try these special spider silks. Speaking of it, the little spider is still a little lucky, but fortunately, he went through Qin Luo's special training before, and today he also got a spider suit and a spider silk launcher. It made his fighting power have undergone earth-shaking changes. Otherwise, if he was the former him, facing an enemy like number 3, he probably would have been numb at that time. Frost spider silk is useless. Speeding spider silk is useless. The moment the lightning spider silk touched No. 3. His body trembled visibly, and his pace of charging slowed down accordingly. The little spider's eyes suddenly brightened, the lightning spider silk is effective. And it doesn't look too bad. Seeing that it was effective, the little spider immediately tapped the web launcher to switch all the spider threads to the lightning spider thread mode. The numbness on his body made number 3 frown, and his heart became more and more irritable. Grab the spider silk sticking to his body and pull it hard. With previous experience, there was no suspense about the spider thread this time, it was torn off by him directly. The spider silk broke apart, and the spider silk on both sides fell limply to the ground. The blue electric current is still flickering on the spider silk. It looks particularly eye-catching in the dark. Yet at this moment, number 3 found that the little spider appeared beside him at some point. At the same time, a dazzling blue light emitted from his hand. My heart is crying badly. Before he had time to react, the little spider moved. Shish! There was a continuous sound of piercing through the air, and countless spider threads shot towards No. 3. The little spider grabbed one of them, and like a spinning top, it launched spider threads around number 360 in 3 degrees without dead ends. In just 2 or 3 seconds, number 3's body was completely buried in the spider silk. It turned into a humanoid silkworm chrysalis. Zzz. Ah, ah, ah. The tooth-piercing electric sound continuously came from the silkworm chrysalis, accompanied by number 3's indistinct scream. Seeing this, the little spider secretly breathed a sigh of relief, looked at the energy bar of his lightning spider silk, and found that he had actually used this wave of attacks, and the lightning spider silk had nearly half of its stored capacity, and immediately felt a pain in the heart. Inside the cocoon formed by spider silk, number 3's face is full of despair. The power contained in these spider silks restrained him very much. 1 or 2 is nothing, so many spider threads are superimposed together. Now doesn't feel anything other than numbness and numbness all over his body. I can't use any of my strength. He knew very well that this time he fell, and it was very miserable. There was no other way but to use the last resort. Help! With a thought in number 3's mind, the eyeballs under the eyelids began to roll quickly. Strange energy fluctuations centered on him and spread in all directions. This ability was accidentally discovered by Swordsman when he experimented with their transformation. These Hulk soldiers can emit a strange wave, which is received by Swordsman to make a call. It's just that only Swordsman can fully receive this kind of fluctuation. Others may have a weak sense, but it is impossible to have a conversation. Perhaps this is the special feature of Swordsman, a big signal in the head is good. Usually, this ability is useless, and it's not even convenient for calling. But in this situation, this ability is especially important. Soon number 3 noticed that he had successfully established a relationship with Swordsman. What's the matter on the 3rd, is there any accident in the mission? Swordsman's cold voice echoed in number 3's mind, making number 3 tremble involuntarily. It's just that he just reacted, and the current of the surrounding lightning spider silk immediately increased a bit. What? Number 3 involuntarily went out again and screamed. He didn't dare to delay any longer, and quickly said to Swordsman through his ability, Master, our mission has failed. I don't know where a Spider-Man appeared. He is very powerful. His strength may be comparable to that of No. 2. Neither I nor number 4 are his opponents. He is good at using several special spider silks, his strength is not inferior to mine, and he is extremely agile. Number 3 passed all the information about the little spider to Serial Stern at the fastest speed. In a safe house somewhere in Jin Bin's gang. Serial Shidang's complexion became more and more ugly, and the blue veins on his head seemed to be squirming like life. It looks very disgusting. Where did such a lifeless guy come from? Looks like I can't stay here for long. Fuck. Serial Shidang suddenly stood up and walked outside, ready to run. He knew very well in his heart that since he could restrain number 3, the opponent's combat power would definitely not be easy. And the commotion will not be too small. It will be noticed by Tony Stark and Chin Luo at that time. It is quite possible to find him on the head. Serial Shidang doesn't want to face Chin Luo head on yet. Because he is not 100% sure to deal with Chin Luo yet. Judging from the information collected in the past, even his own Hulk soldiers went together. It may not be Chin Luo's opponent alone. What's more, there is an Iron Man Tony Stark beside Chin Luo. So for the sake of safety, Serial Shidang could only choose to give up his car to protect his handsome man. When he came to another room, Serial Shidang said to a dozen or so Hulk soldiers who were sitting or standing, number 0, 1, and 2 follow me, and the rest go to help No. 3. Then do as much as possible. Create chaos throughout the city. Yes, Master. Times N. Except for the 3 Hulk soldiers at the head, the rest of the Hulk soldiers all showed fierce faces in an instant, rushed out of the safe house, and disappeared into the night in the blink of an eye. In fact, these Hulk soldiers who left knew that they were regarded as abandoned children. This time there is absolutely no possibility of survival. But even so, they will still obey orders. Because they have been dealt with by Serial Shidang, they are real dead soldiers. Master, do you want to dispose of Jin Bin? Number 1 walked up to Serial Shidang and asked respectfully. Forget it, time is urgent, now we leave this city immediately. Serial Shidang sat on number 1's back as he spoke. Just when they were about to leave. Number 0 sounded extremely hoarse. There is a little mouse, I will deal with it, a few seconds. The voice fell. Number 0 instantly disappeared in place. What? A shrill scream rang out. In less than 5 seconds. Number 0 returned to Serial Stang's side, holding the bullseye's head in his hand and said, the trash is finished. Serial Stang looked at Bullseye's ferocious face. He took one last look at the safe house where he had stayed for less than 20 hours. My soldiers will not die in vain. Daredevil, Spider-Man, Tony Stark, Chin Luo, none of you can escape. You all have to die. After the words fell, Serial Shidang began to flee along the route he had planned long ago. Ruthless words are cruel words, from the heart he really is from the heart. Chin Luo, who was roaming the sea of clouds with May Parker, suddenly sneezed twice in succession. He rubbed his nose, frowned and said, 1 thought, 2 scolding, 3 nagging, who the hell is scolding me? I see you just don't pay attention to your body, did you catch a cold? May Parker was attached to Chin Luo's shoulder, with a trace of concern on his face. Chin Luo turned his head and looked at May Parker beside him, and suddenly the nosebleeds came up again. In order to prevent making a fool of himself in front of his woman, Chin Luo quickly mobilized the power of blood in his body to suppress the nosebleed. And this is how many times Chin Luo used the power of qi and blood to suppress the nosebleed. There is no way to think that the current May pace is too enchanting. According to Lao Guo's words, it's hooked and lost. The beauty of imagery. Slippery fruit, the changes to her can really be said to be reborn. All the original defects on the body, enlarged pores, fine lines and the like all disappeared without a trace. The current Maypace is like an egg that has been peeled off its shell, it is extremely tender and white, and it also has the special bonus of slippery fruit. But the gentle and dignified temperament in her body has not weakened at all. The absolute best of Mendel. Stop making trouble, Sister May. With my body, don't even think about catching a cold and having a fever at the end of the world. It's because someone has developed great malice towards me, so I made me react. After rubbing May Parker's smooth hair, Chin Luo continued, it's time for our 2-person world to end. Tony just sent a message that Peter is in trouble. Although it has been resolved on the surface, there is a hornet's nest in the interior, and many monsters are dispatched to besiege the kid. I'll take you back in a while, and then go over there to clean up the spicy chicken. As Chin Luo said, a cold light flashed in his eyes. Since these underground mice dared to show up, don't blame him for being tricky. Through Jarvis analysis, it is basically certain that these monsters were created by the big boss. Chin, let me go with you, just let me try the newly acquired power. May Parker waved his small fist, looked at Chin Luo seriously and said. Hearing this, Chin Luo hesitated a little. He didn't really want May Parker to get involved in these things, but he thought about it again. Similar to this kind of thing, I am afraid that there will be many in the future. After all, they are doomed to live in New York without peace. So it's not a bad thing to let May Parker get in touch with the battle in advance. Okay. Chapter 71. Chin Luo nodded. Let's go now, the situation over there seems to be not going well. After finishing speaking, Chin Luo directly urged Eujian to fly, and rushed in the direction of Hell's Kitchen at an extremely fast speed. At the same time, the battle on the little spider's side is over. After seeing the effect of his lightning spider silk on number 3. The little spider teamed up with Daredevil, and with an overwhelming advantage, tied number 4 into a human-shaped cocoon. But what to do next? But it has become a problem. Needless to say, little spider, this guy is a fledgling and has no experience at all. The way Daredevil deals with these criminals is to pack them up and send them directly to the police station. But this method is obviously not suitable for monsters like number 3 and no. 4. Once someone untie the spider silk for them, with the power of the New York police, it is absolutely impossible to deal with it. And there may be casualties. As for killing them, Daredevil didn't think about it. But soon gave up. After all, neither he nor the little spider are bloodthirsty characters. To put it bluntly, they are 2 virgin boys. It is basically impossible for them to hold butcher knives. Even in terms of decisiveness in killing, the little spider is better than Daredevil. Furthermore, even if they wanted to kill, they had to be able to kill them. Now except for the little spider's lightning spider silk, they basically can't break through number 3's defense. Although number 4's defense ability is slightly weaker, but the vitality is not generally strong. Just when the two were distressed, little spider's eyes suddenly lit up, and he looked at Daredevil excitedly and said, Mr. Daredevil, why don't you send them to Mr. Stark? I'm sure he will have a solution. OMG, you know Tony Stark, the man in power at Stark Industries. Iron Man. Daredevil almost dropped his jaw when he heard this, and looked at the little spider in disbelief. Hey, my battle suit and my spider web launcher are all masterpieces of Mr. Stark. Do you know that these are all tailor-made for me by Mr. Stark? My God, I was so fast at the time. Seeing Daredevil's expression, the little spider was suddenly full of vanity and started chattering mode. And Daredevil looked at the chattering little spider with a slightly jealous expression besides envy. They are all superheroes, why is there such a big gap? The equipment is all given by the boss. And he can only work hard on his own. The short stick was modified from a blind guide stick, and the battle suit was modified from his father's old boxing uniform. In comparison, he is not even as good as a beggar. However, at this moment, Tony suddenly fell from the sky, looked at the chattering little spider and said jokingly, Little guy, does Ms. May know that you brag about and be like that? Mr. Stark, the little spider exclaimed, her face flushed instantly, and her bragging words came to an abrupt end. A pure large-scale social death scene. Especially after seeing Daredevil's weird expression. The little spider's face turned even redder. Under the spider's combat boots, a 3-bedroom apartment had already been deducted. However, the little spider completely misunderstood what Daredevil meant. Originally, Daredevil was only dubious about what the little spider said. After all, Tony Stark's identity is there. Not everyone can access it, let alone tailor-made battle suits. It's just that he couldn't say anything to refute. He could feel that his battle uniform was a real high-end product. The materials used are definitely not unusual. It's not something ordinary people can get with money. But when Iron Man appeared, he was still able to tease him like this. All of this was confirmed, it was a certainty. It turns out that the gap is really that big. People's suits are really made by Iron Man. Hey, buddy, are you wearing pajamas? Your nickname is Pajama Baby, right? Seeing Daredevil's clothes, Tony couldn't help but complain. The nickname of the baby in pajamas has officially changed hands. Crit, definitely crit damage. It hurts right away. Daredevil's complexion became unsightly, but he couldn't say much in front of this big guy. In comparison, my battle suit is really no different from pajamas, and it is not too much to say that it is a beggar's suit. So Daredevil chose to remain silent. Seeing this, Tony wasn't too aggressive. After all, there was still business to do. After receiving the location information from Jarvis, Tony looked at the two and said seriously, "Okay, the tea party time is over and the battle is about to begin. We are now surrounded by a group of monsters. If we don't take it seriously, we will die. It is said that whether it is the dead little spider or the autistic Daredevil, they all come to their spirits." The little spider couldn't help but asked, "Mr. Tony, what's going on? We've already dealt with the monster, why are there still monsters? Young people are young people, you just settled too, and you think that's the end of it?" Tony looked like a senior, old-fashioned and said. In fact, speaking of it, Tony became a superhero no more than 2 days earlier than Little Spider. Even worse than Daredevil, it's just due to the addition of multiple halos. So when facing Tony, the two little spiders and Daredevil always feel a little shorter. They also feel that there is something wrong with this, but they feel that it should be taken for granted. Daredevil looked at the two humanoid cocoons that were still trembling slightly, and felt his throat dry for a while. Gudong. After swallowing hard, Daredevil asked in disbelief, "Mr. Stark, do you mean there are many monsters like this?" "It's okay, not a lot." Tony shrugged, looking very casual when he spoke. Seeing this, Little Spider and Daredevil secretly heaved a sigh of relief. As a result, they haven't waited for their breath to go down. Tony's next words nearly choked them. "It's only 16 or 17. We average 5 or 6 per person. Ahem, cough cough. 16 or 17. Times 2. After Daredevil and Little Spider coughed violently, they let out an exclamation almost at the same time. Both of them are people who can see themselves clearly. Definitely don't feel complacent about picking up numbers 3 and 4. They are also deeply touched by the difficulty of these monsters. With the strength of the Little Spider, facing such a monster, even with enough lightning and spider silk, it may be easier to deal with 1, but it is very difficult to deal with 2, and it is not bad to be undefeated against 3. Let him deal with 5 or 6 now, wouldn't that be fatal? The Little Spider felt his scalp go numb. And Daredevil is even worse than Little Spider. Right now, he only felt a burst of cold hands and feet, as if he had already seen the stairs to heaven. A monster can suppress him. A dozen or so monsters, even if the 3 of them were divided equally. He also scored at least 5. Facing so many monsters besieging him, it would be his fate if he survived 5 rounds. For the first time Daredevil felt so powerless, so weak. But Tony didn't care what they were feeling at all. All the various weapons on Tony's body were exposed, and he looked like he was ready to go. The arc reactor on the chest is a bit brighter than normal. At this time, the Little Spider looked at the 2 humanoid silkworm chrysalis. Some anxiously asked, "Mr. Stark, what about these 2 guys? Why don't you transport them away first, and it will be troublesome if you let them escape." "Don't panic, do you think I will be unprepared?" Tony glared at the Little Spider with hatred. Then he took out 2 red and gold metal briefcases. Tony flew in front of the 2 humanoid cocoons. First, I looked up and down. It seems to be finding the exact position. Tony opened 2 briefcases and buckled them on number 3's waist and number 4's head. The moment Tony let go of his hand, metal briefcases with a sense of technology have begun to change. Clinging to numbers 3 and 4 forms a fully enclosed metal box. Cover them completely. The red and gold color looks extremely cool. Is this your new invention? Mr. Stark, you are so cool, have you named it? If not, Shut up, Peter. Seriously, the monster is coming. Tony directly interrupted the Little Spider's nonsense, and raised his hand to hit the palm of his hand. The yellow beam of light instantly bombarded the sewer not far away. Boom! A violent explosion sounded, and a burst of smoke and dust was immediately set off. Immediately afterwards, a huge figure rushed out of the sewer. There was black smoke and a foul smell all over. There were dozens of blasted gaps in the green skin, and green blood kept gushing out. The monster blasted out by Tony looked very strong, wearing a leather jacket. Looks like the Terminator. It's just that compared with the governor, this guy's appearance is too far away. At this time, 2 more monsters rushed out from the shadows. These 2 monsters look very similar. It's a bit like a toad becoming a sperm. It's more like the mountain demon Bo Gang in Jackie Chan's Adventures. The body is abnormally bloated, with green lumps all over the body, but the limbs are very short. From a distance, it looks like 2 lumps of meat. Ah, at this moment, Tony and the little spider had disgusted expressions on their faces. It's not scary for a monster to be powerful, but it's too disgusting to piss your eyes off. Especially the brand new battle suit that the little spider just wore today. He really didn't want this monster to tarnish it. At this time, the little spider turned his eyes and looked at the solemn Daredevil beside him. Daredevil couldn't see anyway, or, I haven't waited for the little spider to think about how to shake the pot. Tony's voice sounded in his ears. Okay, Peter, these 2 guys are handed over to you to deal with. After speaking, Tony decisively flew aside. The little spider looked at Tony, who had distanced himself with astonishment. It never occurred to him that Mr. Stark would directly throw those 2 disgusting guys at himself. The little spider looked at the drool left by the 2 Roshans. Suddenly trembling all over, he suddenly turned his head to look at Daredevil. It turned out that Daredevil also distanced himself from him at some point. Although Daredevil is blind, he is not stupid. Something that can make Tony Stark decisively dump the blame is definitely not a fun response. So when Tony backed away, Daredevil also quietly started backing away. None of you can escape, you will all die. The monster who looked like the governor stood up and looked at little spider and the others fiercely. The voice just fell. Surrounded by more than a dozen monsters from all directions, each with fierce faces, looked extremely terrifying. These monsters are of all kinds. Some are barely human, while others are not human at all. There are even 2 existences that look like big trees. Feeling the violent breath of the surrounding monsters, the muscles of little spider and Daredevil tensed up to the extreme. Ha, a bunch of man-made spicy chickens. Tony sneered and flew into the air, and dozens of missiles scattered behind him in an instant, and landed precisely among the monsters. Boom, boom, boom. Intensive explosions sounded, and the smoke and dust filled the air. Soon 7 or 8 monsters rushed out of the smoke and dust. Although they were injured, they didn't seem to have much impact. The rest of the monsters were basically blown away. Seeing this, little spider and Daredevil were not ambiguous. They each met several monsters. The little spider was the fastest. He came in front of the 2 Boogang demons in an instant. The spider web launcher moved in unison, and several lightning spider threads shot out, heading straight for the generous body of the Boogang demon. Zzz. The familiar electric sound sounded, just when the little spider thought that the other party would be the same as no. 3. Those 2 Boogang demons, their fat bodies trembling for a while, actually, eat the spider silk. On the other side of the spider's thread, the little spider only felt a strong force attacking him, and he was pulled over involuntarily. The scene is indescribably weird, quite a bit like the scene when Wong Lufei used the big move cannon. The little spider's face changed slightly. No matter what he looked at, he didn't want to get close to these 2 Boogang demons. Just when he wanted to break the spider thread and get out of the restriction. Suddenly, a monster like a praying mantis flew out from behind. Those arms, which were like sickles, shone coldly under the light. OMG. Boom. The little spider exclaimed, but before he could react, a yellow energy cannon struck and directly blasted the mantis monster into the air. Immediately afterwards, Tony appeared next to the little spider, and with a light slash, the lightning spider threads were cut into 2 pieces. Bang bang bang. Under the action of inertia, the 2 Boogang demons involuntarily backed up a few steps, and the huge weight made the ground tremble. The little spider almost flew upside down, but was caught by Tony in time. Thank you, Mr. Stark. The little spider looked at Tony, who was so close, and was so moved in his heart that he almost didn't shed tears. You are disgusting. I just don't want this suit to be damaged on the first day, and I will have to repair it for you. While Tony was full of disgust, he opened his palm and fired 2 palm shots. Boom, boom. The 2 monsters that were about to attack were directly blasted out. If Chin Luo saw this scene, he would probably give a thumbs up and say, "Father is kind and son is filial piety." It's just that the 2 monsters got up from the ground, continued to charge towards Tony and the little spider without fear of death. But it was blown away again just before. The expression under Tony's mask became serious. He said rather apprehensively, "What are these monsters made of? Why are they so hard to fight? They are just like rocks." "Yeah, Mr. Stark, I just punched a guy dozens of times, but nothing happened. Instead, it made my wrist hurt. If it wasn't for the lightning and spider silk, I'm afraid I'm still fighting that guy. The little spider echoed with a face of approval. Tony wasn't surprised when he heard that. After all, there is also artificial intelligence in the spider suit, which is connected with Jarvis, so he knows what happened to the little spider. It's just that personal experience is completely different from the cold data. And he didn't expect the rest of the monsters to be so resistant. The palm cannon was carried by two existences who looked like little minions. Tony really didn't want to accept this reality. 2. Now is not the time to chat. At this time Daredevil rolled over from nowhere. That's right, it rolled over. Now Daredevil looks like a mess to the extreme. The Night Devil battle suit on his body has completely turned into a whole suit. There was a deep laceration to the bone on the upper arm. 1/3 of the short stick in the left hand was cut off by something. Who knows what he went through just now? Forget about those stone-like monsters who are not afraid of death. With his superb stick skills, he was able to barely deal with it. But the other two mantis monsters almost killed him. The arm knife is even sharper than the number 4 samurai sword, and the speed is frighteningly fast. If it wasn't for rushing out at the price of being injured, I'm afraid his life is gone now. As a result, as soon as he rushed out, he saw that the two people outside were still in the mood to chat. Nima, could it be something serious? Suddenly Daredevil wanted to die. I'm terribly sorry, Mr. Daredevil. The little spider apologized with embarrassment. The corner of Tony's mouth twitched, and he remained silent decisively. They are indeed a bit of a trap to Daredevil, and it seems that most of the monsters are attracted to him. Luckily Daredevil is fine. The three of them were back to back, and those monsters surrounded them again, after a short fight. The breath of these monsters became more fierce, and seemed to be a little stronger than before. Tony's heart skipped a beat. He now seriously suspects that these monsters have attributes similar to Hulk. If you can really fight more and more bravely, then you will be in big trouble. So we must make a quick decision. Peter, you find a way to restrain those monsters. Daredevil, you also follow Peter to help and buy me some time. Tony spoke seriously to the two people around him. Daredevil and Little Spider understood Tony's meaning in an instant. This is the rhythm of amplifying the move. Understood. ×2. The two nodded in unison, and said in unison, action. When Tony gave an order, the little spider immediately shot out its spider silk and flew over the monster. In an instant, the little spider attracted the attention of all monsters. Those ferocious eyes made the little spider's palms full of cold sweat, and he almost missed the spider silk. But right now, various data suddenly appeared in front of the little spider. At the same time, Jarvis's voice sounded in his ears. Mr. Peter, please go to the wall 30 meters ahead on the left. The little spider was stunned for a moment, never expecting that Mr. Stark would let artificial intelligence assist him. For a moment, the excitement in my heart washed away all the emotions. According to Jarvis' instructions, the little spider came to the designated place, and then began to shoot spider silk in all directions. The speed is called a fast. It's just that the spider silk either flew to the wall or landed on the street lamp. Only a few fell on those monsters sporadically. Of course, the little spiders didn't launch these spider silks casually. Although it looked messy, it was actually calculated precisely by Jarvis. Fortunately, the little spider's agility is outstanding, otherwise, it might not be able to complete Jarvis's instructions. Serrier Stun's Hulk soldiers are no fools. Seeing the strange movement of the little spider, although I don't quite understand what it means, but he also knew that he couldn't do what he wanted. So 7 or 8 Hulk soldiers flew directly towards the little spider. That menacing look seemed to tear the little spider alive. It's just that they haven't waited for them to rush 10 meters away. Daredevil has already stopped in front of them. He quickly combined the 2 short sticks in his hand into one. Turned into a stick. A third of the previous short stick was shaved off. So the long stick looks a little weird. However, this flaw does not affect Daredevil's performance. As the saying goes, an inch is long and an inch is strong. Although Daredevil's movement with a long stick is a bit slower, but obviously changed to a different stick method, the movements are wide open and closed, very domineering. The shadow of the stick was all over the sky, and the 7 or 8 Hulk soldiers couldn't break through the shadow of Daredevil for a while. Several charges were forced back by Daredevil. Make it impossible to advance. At this moment, Daredevil seems to be a bit of a one-man man, and Juan Fumo does not open his posture. However, these are only superficial phenomena. In fact, if someone stands behind Daredevil now, he will find that the remaining battle suit on this guy's back has been soaked in cold sweat. Now Daredevil's stick technique seems to be powerful. But in fact, the consumption of physical strength is not ordinary. Every time those Hulk soldiers were repelled, Daredevil felt his physical strength drop sharply. It's just that it's less than half a minute. Daredevil felt that he was going to be overwhelmed. Especially the chest and arm injuries seriously affected his movements. He had to grit his teeth and persist, trying not to deform his movements. It is no exaggeration to say, if the Hulk soldiers make 2 more collective charges, Daredevil probably won't even be able to hold a stick. And above the sky, Tony kept firing palm cannons with both hands, bombarding the Hulk soldiers who tried to get close to him. The arc reactor on the chest is constantly accumulating energy. The arc reactor began to dim at a rate visible to the naked eye. But at the very center is a faintly visible flickering blue arc. This is the arc pulse cannon, currently the strongest attack that Tony can master. It stands to reason that the arc reactor relies on the palladium element. Can't afford such consumption at all. But after a short period of blessing from Kazan of Soul Blade, Tony thought of a different way. The energy of the arc's reactor was increased, so it was barely able to perform this trick. Speaking of which, the 6th Tony originally planned to use this trick to deal with Chin Luo. Because this trick consumes too much. Basically, after casting it, Tony's arc reactor can only maintain the point where he can't die. So he had to let the little spider assist. Use the web to trap the Hulk soldiers in one place, then perform this one-hit kill. On the little spider's side, after Jarvis' precise calculation, most of the spider silk has been arranged. At this time, the spider web filling fluid in the spider web launcher has also been consumed. Call out. The little spider with a tired expression shot out the last web. Without even looking at it, he just sat down on the ground. Continuously launching spider webs with high precision, even with the assistance of Jarvis, was exhausting for him. But I saw the dense spider silk around me. A smile full of accomplishment appeared on the little spider's face. Take a breather. The little spider quickly stood up and shouted loudly, "Everything is done. Mr. Stark, Mr. Daredevil, get out of the way." His voice just fell. Daredevil, who couldn't hold on for a long time, turned his head and ran away. It's just that the way Daredevil runs is quite funny. It is not an exaggeration to use the word, rolling and climbing, to describe it. This shows how far his physical strength has reached. However, those Hulk soldiers wanted to tear Daredevil into pieces immediately, so how could they let him go so easily? Ho 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 ho, times N. The roar of the Hulk soldiers kept ringing, but they haven't waited for any action yet. The little spider grabbed the most critical thread. Pull hard. In an instant, the countless spider threads seemed to have been ordered. Surrounded those Hulk soldiers from all directions. There is no gap left at all. The 2 mantis monsters also wanted to cut off the spider silk with their sharp arm knives. However, as soon as the hand was raised, its joints were already entangled with dense spider silk. Can't move at all. The rest of the Hulk soldiers were naturally unwilling to be restrained, struggling desperately or attacking those flying spider webs. It's just that Jarvis's calculations are not free. It can almost be said to be a no-nonsense strategy. No matter how the Hulk soldiers struggled, they were all bound together in the end. More than a dozen Hulk soldiers plus those spider silks. The scene cannot be described as spectacular. The little spider looked at his masterpiece quite proudly. He laughed loudly and said, "Ha ha ha. You monsters, you got entangled in my spider web. Obediently prepare to accept the trial of death. Mr. Peter, the spider web is 99.9% complete." Jarvis's voice sounded, and the little spider's smile froze instantly. Hastily looked around. What's going on? Why is it not 0.01%? Why is it still away? The little spider just finished speaking. A special marker appeared in front of him instantly. Follow that thread. The little spider found out. The difference of 0.01 is the last spider silk that he fired. Perhaps because of haste, or maybe it was because the last little spider was careless. That spider silk did not stick to the designated wall. Instead, he stood on a piece of glass that had been broken. Now that glass is crumbling. OMG. The little spider exclaimed and rushed towards the last point. Unfortunately, it was too late. Click, there was a crisp sound of glass breaking. In the end, the spider thread lost its support in an instant, and all the spider webs immediately began to fall apart. Boom, 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 boom. The sound of the spider silk breaking followed, as if forming some kind of movement. As more and more spider webs broke, the restraint for those Hulk soldiers is naturally greatly reduced. As the Hulk soldiers struggled, many of them were already free of half their bodies. What to do? What to do? What should I do? The little spider was completely panicked at this moment. And Tony, who was above the sky, saw this scene, and almost spit out a mouthful of old blood. Fortunately, the energy of the arc pulse gun has been gathered. Peter, you unreliable fellow. After Tony cursed, he directly activated the arc pulse cannon. Boom! A 1-meter thick blue beam of light spewed out from Tony's chest, heading straight for the Hulk soldiers. The night is illuminated by the arc pulse gun, almost as bright as day. There seems to be only that azure blue thunder and lightning beam between the sky and the earth. Both the little spider and Tony's battle suits have the function of eliminating glare, so it doesn't affect the line of sight. As for Daredevil, they don't have eyes at all, so naturally they won't be affected. With the approach of the arc pulse gun, the Hulk soldiers struggled even harder. No! Roar! At the same time, the most central Hulk soldier roared unwillingly. These Hulk soldiers are not afraid of death. Their current unwillingness is just that they have not completed their master's task. For them, Serial Stern's orders are above all else. Struggling desperately, some of the Hulk soldiers broke out of the bondage of the spider silk. Rumbling, the arc pulse cannon exploded, turning into flames that shot up into the sky, and violent air waves ravaged everything around. Several Hulk soldiers visible to the naked eye turned into fly ash on the spot in the flames. With the dimming of the fire, a strong smell of blood permeated the air, and there were some broken limbs and arms on the ground. But there are more coke-like things and dark green blood. Fake. At this moment, Tony looked at everything in front of him, and couldn't help cursing angrily, and at the same time felt a sense of powerlessness in his heart. Because the Hulk soldiers were not completely wiped out. His inevitable blow was only half the kill. There are 8 Hulk soldiers left on the field. Although most of these Hulk soldiers were wounded or even mutilated. But their vitality is quite tenacious, and being injured doesn't mean losing their combat effectiveness. On the contrary, it will stimulate their fierceness even more and double their strength. Of course, this wasn't what made Tony feel the most powerless. He had expected that when the Hulk soldiers broke free from the silk. What really made Tony feel powerless and even hopeless? Those 2 mantis monsters actually moved the metal boxes of number 3 and number 4 here at the very moment. Not only blocked the residual power of the arc pulse gun, but also released number 3 and no. 4. There are ranks among the Hulk soldiers. The Hulk soldier who looks like the Terminator is number 5. Tony, who was almost harassed by him alone, almost couldn't release his big move. The Boogang Demon and the Mantid are number 6, number 7 and no. 8, number 9 respectively. Seriously speaking, the combination of Boogang Demon and Mantis Monster cannot compare with number 3 and no. 4. They are not of a class at all. Not to mention the existence of those 2-digit numbers who died. So to put it bluntly, number 3 and number 4 were released. Their annihilation plan this time was a complete failure, and it was tantamount to playing for nothing. The little spider was in an extremely depressed mood at this time. Especially when Tony's powerless roar sounded. The little guy almost didn't shed tears. He knew very well that the failure of this plan was purely due to his own fault. If it weren't for the 0.01 negligence at the end, maybe the battle is over now and I can go home for dinner. Woo! Tony let out a long breath, feeling the emotion of the little spider beside him, and shook his head helplessly. Didn't say much. In his eyes, little spider is just a child. Things have happened, and nothing can be changed by blaming him. Furthermore, under the circumstances at that time, even he couldn't guarantee that he would handle it better than little spider. I'll leave this place for a while, you guys leave quickly. Tony's voice sounded, and there was an undeniable meaning in his serious tone. However, the always obedient little spider shook his head firmly at this time. Mr. Stark, it was because of me that the plan failed, so I beg you, let me be the queen. I don't want to be a coward who runs away. Quote. Now the little spider has only one thought in mind, and that is to make up for his mistakes. He doesn't want anyone else to pay for his mistakes anymore. Daredevil just smiled bitterly, unable to say anything. Although he has no eyes, he has always been able to see himself and others clearly. In his current state, not to mention staying and breaking the queen, even if he was able to escape smoothly, it was all because of the ancestors burning incense. Bullshit. Who told you to run away and become a coward? Are you stupid? Have you read too many superhero comics? You don't naively think that I want to stay and die. I told you to leave first to find a helper. Find that fool Chin Luo. Now he is the only one who can deal with these monsters. Seeing that the little spider looked like he was going to die, Tony was so angry that he swears. He used to think that Chin Luo was a little too harsh on the little spider. Now he feels Chin Luo did the right thing. Even a little too light. The little spiders are embarrassing now, and they are not a problem that the 3-bedroom house can solve. Fortunately, there was a mask covering his face, otherwise everyone would have seen his face that was comparable to steamed hairy crabs. But think of a hot man. Little Spider's originally tense and complicated mood was relaxed a lot at the moment. He secretly scolded himself for being stupid. There was obviously a trump card in the family. After this period of special training with Chin Luo, he can be regarded as a thorough understanding of what is called the strength gap. Until now, he couldn't let Chin Luo fight him with a sword. Just use 2 fingers. Don't drive. Go to hell, human. Number 3, who was free from restraint, let out a roar, and his entire figure began to change drastically at this moment. It was as if he had changed into a different person. His whole body was trembling non-stop, and his originally burly figure swelled up at a speed visible to the naked eye. Quite a bit like the warden of Li Wangzhong transformed. And the rest of the monsters have more or less changed at this moment. Some are taller, others are more robust. The most disgusting ones are those 2 Bugang demons. The pimples all over his body were broken, and the dark green and slightly yellowish liquid flowed all over the floor. Wherever the liquid went, there was a teeth-stinging sizzling sound. There were also bursts of blue smoke, which seemed to be some kind of extremely corrosive liquid. These changes of the Hulk soldiers can be said to be their last trick. Forcibly squeeze the vitality in the body to double its strength. And some special abilities will get qualitative changes. However, such a trick would naturally not be easily performed, since the vitality was forcibly squeezed, so after using this trick, Hulk soldiers can only survive for 8 hours at most. Even the gods can't save them after time. See the change in those guys. Whether it was Little Spider or Daredevil, even Tony felt his throat dry up, and his palms were sweating coldly. Kill. Number 3 roared into the sky. Roar. The Hulk soldiers behind him roared in unison, and quickly rushed towards the 3 of Tony. Number 4 and the 2 mantids charged the fastest. You can faintly see afterimages behind them. After the transformation, his hands turned into 2 dark green blades, one long and one short. The stature is even shorter, not only faster, but the 2 blades are also terrifyingly sharp. Wherever he went, no matter it was the asphalt road or what, it was extremely smooth. Without the slightest hindrance, he was cut into 2 pieces by the blade. After the transformation of the 2 mantis monsters, they had wings on their backs, and they were completely flying at low altitude. Hateful. Tony cursed in a low voice, and raised his palm to release the palm cannon. However, his energy is seriously insufficient. The light of the palm cannon is not as bright as the street lamp. Boom. As soon as the dim beam of light flew out, it was cut into 2 pieces by number 4, the leader. Just when the Hulk soldiers were less than 10 meters away from them, a blue rain curtain suddenly fell in the sky. To be precise, it shouldn't be rain curtains, but existences like wind blades. Land foot rain. The wind blade quickly bombarded the Hulk soldier. Each one can leave a deep bloodstain on their bodies. The mantis monster and number 4 who were charging ahead were the most miserable. In less than a second, there was almost nothing good about them. It would not be an exaggeration to say that it was blood and flesh flying everywhere. When Tony and the others saw this, they all heaved a sigh of relief. The situation just now was too critical. At present, among them, the only one who still has combat power is the little spider. And he ran out of silk. As for the other 2, they are basically in a state of half useless. Under such circumstances, facing the vicious Hulk soldiers, the result can be imagined. But what surprised them even more was who helped them. The voice from the sky seemed to be a female voice, and it sounded familiar. It's just that the women they are familiar with don't have extraordinary power. What's more, they have never heard of such a sharp attack. Jarvis, analysis shocked Tony even more. These wind blades are actually formed by powerfully attacking compressed air to create a vacuum. The little spider was even more bewildered. Even if he was beaten to death, he would never have imagined that the person who helped him at this time was actually his most respected Aunt May. May Parker. Above the sky, May Parker, who had just finished casting Lanjiao Rain, showed a trace of exhaustion on his face. After all, she has just mastered the 6th form of the Navy, although the blessing of the system allows her to reach the elite level of mastery. But in order to easily perform such a powerful physical skill, May Parker had to get used to it for a while. Qin Luo was also quite surprised. He never expected that May Parker is quite talented in the 6 naval styles. To have mastered the derivative technique so quickly. Speaking of which, the Lanjiao derivative skill shown by May Parker just now is quite similar to the Lanjiao, chaotic, used by CP9 Kaku in Pirates. Qin, I'll leave it to you. I want to rest for a while. Qin Luo nodded upon hearing this. Immediately, as if he suddenly thought of something, he looked at May Parker with a half-smile and asked, "What?" "I don't really want to meet that kid Peter in the way of a lifesaver." Humph. May Parker shook his head. With an angry expression on his face, he snorted coldly, "That's not true. That kid hid so many things from me. I want revenge. I want to give that fool a big fright." Qin Luo couldn't help but feel ashamed when he heard the words. He never thought that May Parker had such a little girly side. But think about it. As a role like an old mother, she knew everything but was kept from her son for so long. If you don't say it on the surface, you must feel a little uncomfortable in your heart. Come on, then you can rest, and then I will watch your man perform. Speaking of Qin Luo's thoughts, the short sword of the ancient dust appeared in his hand. And the ancient remnants of the short sword under his feet have become much more illusory. It looks like it is projected, giving people a feeling that it will fall at any time. May Parker was a little flustered, but after seeing Qin Luo's handsome side face, all the worries in my heart receded. At this time, Qin Luo flew down directly with his hand in his hand. Silver falling blade. Surrounded by violent sword energy, he began to fall at an extremely fast speed. At this time, the 2 scarred mantis monsters rushed to the vicinity of Tony and the others. Boom! With a loud noise, Qin Luo fell to the ground. The berserk sword energy turned into shock waves and scattered in all directions. The 2 nearby mantis monsters were the first to bear the brunt. In the blink of an eye, it was crushed into a meat paste by the shock wave. The slightly slower number 4 was also sent flying by this shock wave. Most of the body was broken directly. "Brother Qin." The little spider couldn't help but exclaimed when he saw Qin Luo's figure. His face was full of surprise and joy. "You fool, why did you come here, and you still use such a handsome way to appear on the stage, Fark?" Tony had a look of displeasure on his face. But it was enough to see everything from his insincere eyes. "Tisk tisk, you guys, you look really miserable enough." Qin Luo looked at a few people with a little teasing and said, "It used to be a big battle. Tony and others are enough to be disgraced." Although Qin Luo's shock wave didn't hurt them, they didn't fall behind the smoke and dust that swept up. It seemed even more embarrassing. Daredevil is almost becoming a native. Stop gloating there. No one begged you to come. Tony blushed immediately when he heard the words, and said in a very unhappy way, "Yo-yo, it's scary, Mr. Tony, are you sure? Then you're really leaving. I'll pick you up after you're done." Qin Luo looked at Tony like a yellow ape and said, "You fool." Tony was so angry at Qin Luo's behavior that he just wanted to speak stubbornly. The little spider on the side quickly said, "Brother Qin, please hurry up and get rid of these monsters. The commotion is big enough, God knows how much I want to sleep now." Hear this. Qin Luo very rarely showed a fatherly smile to the little spider. "Don't worry, everything will be left to me." Seeing this, the little spider shivered involuntarily. For some reason, Qin Luo's expression at this time made him feel chills from the bottom of his heart. No matter how you look at it, it's a bit malicious. "Okay, Tony, I won't quarrel with you. Can the energy of the arc reactor withstand it? Don't be stubborn. If something happens to you, Potts can tear me alive." Qin Luo patted Tony on the shoulder and said with a smile. "Humph." Tony snorted coldly. gave Chin Luo a big roll of his eyes, and stepped back directly. Thump. Tony sat directly on the ground. Easily remove the metal mask. At this moment, he was completely relaxed. But seeing Chin Luo step forward holding a sword, Tony still couldn't help reminding. Fool, those monsters are not simple, they all have their own special powers, and Jarvis has almost collected their information. Hold my mask, Jarvis will tell you their respective information, don't be careless. Hearing this, Chin Luo showed a smile on his face. Tony, this guy is always caught off guard and makes people feel very heartwarming. Thanks, but you don't need to be so serious when dealing with these little guys. Fact, what do you mean by that? They're young people, so what are we? Tony glared at Chin Luo, biting his back molars, his little eyes seemed to want to eat people. Oh, don't worry about these details, okay. As Chin Luo said, he ignored Tony, who was in a hurry, and walked towards the Hulk soldiers. From the inside to the outside, it reveals a sense of leisure. It seems that they are not here for fighting and killing, but for spring outing. When passing by No. 4, Chin Luo stopped slightly, looked at the miserable number 4 under his feet, couldn't help but shook his head and said, "It's so bad, and you are still alive, it's really difficult for you, go with peace of mind, your partner will soon come to accompany you." As he spoke, Chin Luo slightly waved the ancient dagger in his hand. In an instant, number 4's head was separated from the body, and the last bit of vitality was completely cut off. Seeing his companion die tragically at the hands of Chin Luo, number 3 and other Hulk soldiers dare not speak out. For Chin Luo's strength, I am afraid that few people know better than them. Chin Luo's materials are almost becoming their compulsory courses. The Hulk soldiers knew very well that with their remnant soldiers, they were definitely no match for the man in front of them. Now the Master's first mission is a complete failure. They never got a chance to take Daredevil's head off again. But the second task, they must be done, otherwise, it is really unwilling to die. Everyone disperse, run away immediately, complete the second mission, let this city be buried with us. With number 3's roar, all the Hulk soldiers responded, running quickly in all directions. See this scene. Tony was extremely upset, but he still reminded loudly, Chin, you can't let them run away like this. If they wreak havoc in the city, the consequences will be too serious. Chin Luo smiled and nodded when he heard the words. Don't worry, these monsters can't run away, and there are no people within a 5-kilometer radius. Hearing this, whether it is the little spider or Tony, they all shuddered, especially Tony. He still remembers the soaring Asura evil light slashing of the 10 Commandments gang back then. Fool, you don't want to play so big, do you? Do you want to? That's right, according to the news from Jarvis, it's all Jin Bin's land and property, and the big boss also escaped from Jin Bin in the end. Today's matter must have something to do with Jin, so I plan to charge him some interest first. As Chin Luo spoke, terrifying waves of power emanated from his body. Even the surrounding space was affected by this force and became somewhat distorted. Volatility engraving. The killing intent fluctuates. Following Chin Luo's 2 low shouts, bless the exclusive buff of the Asura series. At the same time, he bit his thumb. In an instant, runes exuding a milky white halo surrounded Chin Luo's body. This is one of the most important passive skills in the Asura series. Frustrated will. Whenever injured, it will appear automatically, increasing the strength of the host. It's just that no one hurt Chin Luo now, so he can only solve it by himself. The skills of the Asura series are ready. Chin Luo is also ready to release his big move. After all, he just wanted to destroy everything around him this time. He didn't want to hurt the innocent, so he didn't use the buff skills of other departments such as the Ghost Array and other departments. But even so, the power that Chin Luo exudes at this time, it also frightened Tony and others not far away. Daredevil's senses are especially strong. After all, he has no eyes and relies on his other 5 senses to perceive everything around him. In a way, Daredevil is really a good seed of Asura. It's a pity that he doesn't have a ghost hand, otherwise he must be a good Asura. Click. A sound like a broken soul came into everyone's ears. The 5 rapidly rotating engravings on the top of Chin Luo's head shattered one after another, turning into 5 groups of very violent forces, and began to devour everything around like a black hole. At the same time, a dark purple formation began to spread rapidly around Chin Luo. In the blink of an eye, it covered all 5 kilometers around. Wait until the magic circle is formed. The 5 groups of berserk abilities began to shrink rapidly, and then condensed into 5 huge energy balls. The color of the energy ball is the same as that of the formation, both are dark purple. Every energy ball exudes a chilling and even desperate coercion. Fudo King formation. Qin Luo let out a low growl, and the 5 energy balls spread rapidly and landed precisely on the place corresponding to the magic circle. The invisible force suppresses everything around it. This guy is a bit too big. Tony swallowed hard, his eyes full of horror. Although they were not really affected by the Fudo Mingwang formation because of Qin Luo. But just the coercion emanating from the Fudo King formation suppressed them so hard that they could not move. At the same time, the 5 energy balls that spread out began to rotate rapidly around the trajectory of the formation. An extremely terrifying tearing force erupted from the magic circle. Any place covered by the Fudo King formation. All objects are torn apart by this force. Houses, streets, streetlights, everything was spared. The Hulk soldiers naturally couldn't escape. It could be faintly seen that the remaining Hulk soldiers were sucked into Fudo Mingwang's formation. In the blink of an eye, everything around it turned into fly ash. None were spared, even the number 3 with a strong defense is facing Fudo Mingwang formation. Compared with those of his companions, it was only a second longer. Without even making a scream, it was completely turned into fly ash. At this moment, everything within a radius of 5 kilometers has been reduced to ruins. Razed to the ground to be precise. The whole land has been restored to its original appearance. However, the power of Fudo Mingwang formation does not mean to decrease in the slightest. On the contrary, Qin Luo noticed that this power seemed to be spreading. This is the first time Qin Luo has used the Fudo King formation. And didn't dare to do my best. But even so, Qin Luo was also sincerely surprised by the power of this move. It really deserves to be a level 45 big move. The power is stronger than ordinary skills, I don't know how much. But then again, what's going on with this spread? Whether it is in the game or what Qin Luo has comprehended. There is no such thing as spreading. Just less than 10 seconds. The range of influence of Fudo Mingwang formation has spread for hundreds of meters. If it was further away, it would have exceeded Jinhei's territory in this area. So it must be detonated. But before that, we have to consider the safety of Meipace and Tony. Even Qin Luo has covered them all with his own wave power. It is certain that the power of Fudo Mingwang formation itself will not harm them. But after the Fudo King formation was detonated, the remaining prestige of the explosive force should not be underestimated. A careless, Tony and the others are likely to be killed by Yu Wei. So they still have to add a layer of insurance. Otherwise, there is no place to buy regret medicine. Qin Luo has 2 things in one mind, while stabilizing the immovable king formation. Sword chi lingered around him. It turned into 2 strands of sword light and flew towards Tony and the others and May Parker respectively. Hey, Qin Luo, are you crazy? Seeing a sword-shaped streamer flying towards them, Tony couldn't help shouting. Stop talking nonsense, I'm here to protect you, hurry up, don't be idle, this thing will explode. Qin Luo's voice just fell. That sword glow turned into an invisible sword aura covering Tony and the others. The same is true for May Parker above. It's just under the control of Qin Luo's mind. The Imperial sword under Maypak's feet has quickly left the area to ensure that the damage is minimized. Forget about Peter cheating. You guys are more cheating than him. The group is here to cheat me. Tony cursed angrily, and then took out another metal suitcase. After several consecutive operations, the suitcase quickly deformed and eventually turned into a giant metal shield. The little spider pulled Daredevil and Tony to hide behind the huge shield with an aggrieved face. Even so, Tony still seemed uneasy. He mobilized the last bit of power of the reactor in Fangzong, and forcibly opened the protective cover while ensuring that he would not die. At the same time, he took the initiative to disengage from the suit, and the parts of the suit were quickly assembled to form a small shield. All this sounds slow, but the actual operation is extremely fast. In just a few seconds, there were 3 layers of protection on Tony's side. Coupled with Qin Luo's sword energy shield, there are already 4 layers of protection. Seeing this, Qin Luo couldn't help but laugh. Tony, this guy is really not an ordinary life-saving guy. But think about it, Anyone with hundreds of billions of assets, I am afraid it will be very difficult to spare their lives. Now the Fudo King formation must be detonated. There was no longer any delay, just a few seconds while Tony was protecting himself. The Fudo King formation has spread for more than 100 meters, and it has already begun to touch the poor areas. Qin Luo took a deep breath, condensing all the wave power in his body. At the same time, Qin Luo suddenly raised his hand, pulling the Fudo King formation, and clenched his fist. The rapidly spinning Ming Wangju stopped immediately. The dark purple Mingwang bead was instantly covered with cracks. The terrifying energy began to spread from the inside out. Even Qin Luo, the source of the power contained in it, couldn't help feeling terrified. Go away. Just when Ming Wangju was about to explode, Qin Luo mobilized all the power of waves and blasted it into the sky. For a moment the sky was as bright as day. The 5 Ming Wangju exploded together, bursting out with a power that could destroy the world. The whole space seemed to stand still at this moment. Rumble. The violent wave force tore the clouds, and the entire sky seemed to be torn apart at this moment. And the violent coercion also spread from the sky towards the bottom. The ground under Qin Luo's feet began to crack rapidly. At the same time, the sword mask on Tony's side lit up with a milky white light, resisting the pressure from the sky. This moment is not just Hell's Kitchen. Deafening explosions were heard throughout New York. Countless cars rang their alarm systems. The city, which had been peaceful, became noisy. And S.H.I.E.L.D., the military, private, everyone who pays attention to the movements here. All the instruments they used were out of luck, especially those using bugging devices. It was destroyed immediately, and the answering staff with earphones, I don't know how much they were deafened. There are also some instruments for detecting energy, which exploded on the spot because they exceeded the limits of the instruments. Feeling the terrifying energy that was still raging above the sky, Qin Luo couldn't help but froze. He was estimating, if he was facing this level of attack, whether it can withstand. Soon Qin Luo had the answer. If he used other level 45 big moves to fight, he might be able to withstand it. If you let him resist with his own strength. In that case, I'm afraid that if you don't die, you will have to peel off your skin. Fudo Mingwang formation is a fierce move. The only thing is that it is pitted. That is, you can't move at will after casting, otherwise you will immediately fail. But think about it, with such power and destructive power, it is normal to have some shortcomings. Just as Qin Luo was thinking about the issue of not moving the King Ming formation. Suddenly something feels wrong. It seemed that several eyes were staring at him. These gazes are extremely cryptic. If it weren't for Qin Luo's current state of Asura, his fluctuation perception would reach its maximum value. It's really not necessarily possible to notice these gazes. One of the gazes that made him fear the most came from the east. This gaze did not depart from the scope of this land. After thinking for a while, Qin Luo knew the owner of that gaze. For this land, at present, just a glance can make him feel alert and fearful. I'm afraid there is only one person. Supreme Mage Ancient One. Apart from him, Qin Luo couldn't think of anyone else. But the other gaze came from outside the sky, and it was also the most hidden gaze. Qin Luo once again mobilized the power of fluctuations. All blessings on the perception of fluctuations make it the most perceptive ability. For an instant, Qin Luo felt that he was looking at a pair of dark yellow eyes. The opponent's eyes were full of astonishment, seemed surprised by his stare. Soon the other party cut off his gaze. Although it was only for a moment, what was seen from those eyes? Qin Luo immediately identified the owner of these eyes. The gatekeeper from Asgard has eyes that claim to be able to see through everything in the 9 realms. Heimdall, Asgard, the opening of the Rainbow Bridge. Beads of sweat covered Heimdall's forehead. Those eyes that could see through the 9 realms were filled with shock. There are actually people on the earth who can perceive his sight. Except for those big guys, this kind of thing hasn't happened for many years. I really don't know where such a strong man came from the earth. Even Saul, I'm afraid he can't perceive my existence across the 9 realms. Heimdall muttered. In his heart, he secretly compared his heir to the God King, Thor, with the strong man on earth he had just seen. Even if you don't want to. But the result of the comparison was that he couldn't deceive himself. If the strong man on earth fights Saul, the final winner will definitely not be Saul. Heimdall, I want to talk to you. Just as Heimdall was contemplating, a slightly feminine male voice suddenly sounded in his ear. Looking back, after seeing the person coming, a strange color flashed in Amdar's eyes. The visitor turned out to be Loki, the god of intrigue and trickery. The guy still had a malicious smile on his face, obviously not holding back any good farts. New York, Hell's Kitchen turned into ruins. With a light wave of Chin Luo's hand, the sword aura instantly dissipated. Knocked on the huge metal shield. Hey, 3, it's time to get up when the battle is over. Quote. What's the situation? Why is there no reaction at all? The quietness is a bit scary. Could it be that those guys were really shocked to death? No, under the fluctuation perception, if something happens to these guys, he must be able to notice it immediately. Puzzled, Chin Luo dodged to the back of the shield. Nima, PFF'd, what kind of posture are you three in? Ha ha ha. The scene in front of him really made Chin Luo unable to hold back, and he laughed out loud. I saw 3 people squatting in a zigzag shape behind 2 layers of shields. He covered his ears neatly and lowered his head. Just like 3 big ostriches. The most joyful thing is the calf of the 3 of them. That trembling is quite rhythmic, not weaker than the legendary wooer. Facing such a wonderful scene, Chin Luo decisively took out the camera. This is a random shot. Caw caw caw. Perhaps the sound of the flash was heard by Tony. The guy suddenly opened his eyes, and first looked around in confusion. Immediately afterwards, he locked his eyes on Chin Luo. Tony rushed over and grabbed Chin Luo's shoulders with both hands. Shaking crazily, he said, Asshole. Asshole. Are you insane? You are a lunatic. Just killing a monster. As for making it so big. You want revenge on the golden property. I have every way to make him bankrupt. You want to destroy the earth. Facing Tony, who was roaring like a lion from the east of the river, Chin Luo helplessly scratched his itchy ears from the shock. Anla, why are you so excited? It's all right. Don't worry, I know what's going on. It's just that the noise is louder. Except for those monsters, it didn't cause any casualties. Tony saw Chin Luo like this. The anger in his heart was even stronger. He pointed to a large flat area around him, blushed and shouted, You're making such a move. How loud are you? That's not what it says. Chin Luo's shoulders shook slightly, directly shaking Tony's arm away. After tidying up his clothes, he said solemnly, Look, those monsters run so fast, if one escapes, it will be a great disaster. Ordinary people are not even as good as toys in front of them. So, if I hadn't decisively shot and enlarged my move, the damage caused would not have been so small. Tony heard this. The mood eased a little. He knew in his heart that although Chin Luo was changing the subject, he was right. If these monsters are allowed to escape, the damage will be too great. It is no exaggeration to say that even a monster has the ability to make the city panic. Relatively speaking, the annihilation of this piece of land is really nothing. Anyway, this piece of land, including houses, and everything else, is Jin Bin's property. It has nothing to do with him. In fact, the reason why Tony showed such a gaffe. Totally from that threat of death. Don't forget, it hasn't been long since the 10 Commandments gang incident. There is great terror between life and death. Don't look at Tony's reticence on the surface, but the shadow of death in his heart has never dissipated. I just experienced it again, and it's pretty good if my emotions don't collapse. Come on, the matter is over, everyone goes back to their respective homes, you should take the little spider with you first. As Chin Luo spoke, under the urging of his thoughts, the flying sword, which was dozens of kilometers away, began to return. Asshole, you just left. I warn you, don't let me wipe your ass. Tony looked at Chin Luo with disgust and said. Chin Luo also rolled his eyes in disgust when he heard the words. The 2 big men always talk about wiping their asses. You are disgusting, don't worry, it's not up to us to intervene in the follow-up processing, the shield guys are the ones professional. It's time to charge ticket money for letting them watch such a good show for so long. Just as Chin Luo was speaking, the phantom of the ancient dagger slowly descended from the sky. Seeing this familiar flying sword, a strange look flashed across Tony's face. At that time, he almost watched a big show through the satellite. It's a pity that at the critical moment when the cloth faded away, some unknown force suddenly appeared and blocked everything. Tony couldn't break through the shield of the unknown force even if he turned around. He was so angry that he wanted to put on his battlesuit and go to the scene to observe it. Of course, in the end he dropped the idea. For fear of being beaten to death by someone. With the ancient dagger slowly descending, a figure appeared in front of everyone. The look on Tony's face became weirder at first, and then turned into shock. You are Ms. May. Tony exclaimed in disbelief. If it weren't for the woman's facial features on the flying sword, there would be no change. He really couldn't believe that the stunning beauty above the flying sword was May Parker. When the little spider heard this familiar address, he immediately raised his head. As a result, after seeing that familiar yet unfamiliar figure, she was equally dumbfounded. The eyes almost popped out. Mr. Iron Man, and the new Mr. Superhero, hello. Maypay smiled slightly, and a gleam flashed in his eyes when he looked at the little spider. Mr. Iron Man, and the new Mr. Superhero, hello. Maypay smiled slightly, and a gleam flashed in his eyes when he looked at the little spider. The little spider trembled all over. He didn't dare to look at May Parker, who was above the flying sword. With slightly lowered eyes, he pretended to be hoarse and said, "Hello, May. Aunt, Ms. Parker. I am yours all right, neighborhood spider, Spider-Man." After stuttering and finishing this paragraph, the little spider felt as if a century had passed. The palms were tense and full of sweat. "Spider-Man, hello, it's the first time we meet. I always feel a little familiar with your voice. Have we met before?" May Parker asked in feigned surprise. "Ha ha ha, how is it possible? I just came to New York, I have never seen it before." Hearing this, the little spider almost didn't get scared and knelt on the ground. After a few forced laughs, he closed his mouth and walked to the side. He was afraid that if he said a few more words, he would really reveal his identity. As everyone knows, the few people present, except Daredevil, are like a bright mirror in their hearts. When their aunt and nephew were talking, Tony and Chin Luo really tried their best to hold back their laughter. Only those wildly trembling shoulders can prove how hard the two endured. PFF, Chin Luo couldn't help but laugh directly. However, he immediately covered it up with a cough, ahem. "What, everyone, let's disperse, don't stay here any longer." As he spoke, Chin Luo patted Tony beside him. If you want to say smart, Tony is smart. This guy didn't know when he had put on his battle armor and put on a mask. From the degree of shaking of his body, it can be seen that this guy is laughing wildly inside the battle armor. Chin Luo jumped directly onto the phantom of the ancient dagger. At the same time, the ancient dagger in his hand merged with the phantom under his feet. Then friends, we will withdraw first, bye. I hope everyone will support it and subscribe for more videos.